Hi. So apparently today I'm doing all kinds of things, having all kinds of issues. So today isn't ice. I think I'm live because I started the last one. It was having issues. I turned on the TV, so I'm live because if I'm gonna have issues today, I could give a quick glance, be like, girl. And I was live for like 3 minutes, and then it wasn't even up on the TV. And then I messed up, and here we are now. So, wow, yeah, it was like the full picture. I'm like, hello, excuse me. Let me take care of this real quick. So, anyway, I didn't know what I wanted to do because it's one of those things. I feel like every now and then I'll have a loose plan, a tentative plan. I have an idea. Every now and then I'll have an inkling. I'll have an idea of what I want to do. And then stuff will start coming out and it'll just go whichever way it goes, right? Excuse me, which is fine. But today I had no such, had no such notion, right? And a line from Into the Woods, um, Moments in the Woods, I think. Girl, I don't care right now. Whoa, my channel is 6 years old today. That can't be right. No, that's not right. My channel's older than 6 because I mean, maybe it's been 6 years since I've been like using it. Maybe my oldest public video was like 6 years. That could be the case because I think it was around holiday season 2019. Yeah. But like I started this channel like before my freshman year. So anyways, one second. I'm so sorry. And I gotta send a text in like 16 minutes. A New Year's text. So anyway, here we go. So the number today for ICC is 1694. And what's interesting, I feel like this came out. I feel like there's a scientific concept for something like this. I feel like it's in quite a few like processes. Uno momento. Goodness. I don't even know how to do this anymore. Hello? Hello? Oh, here we go. More options. There we go. There we go. That's what I wanted. Anyways, so I just saw Eve's finger from our from her birthday trip. From our time together last year. Yeah, that was last year. Girl. This year has been a year. I feel like I'm so distracted. There we go. Okay, I'm back. This quality is not great. And it's a shame because I wiped the camera lens and everything, unfortunately. Um the internet should be fine. I'm using like my mobile hotspot, right? See, but now it's kind of clearing up. Maybe like after like in post it'll be smoother. Or maybe it's just like the upload is like fluctuating. I'm using my mobile hotspot because I was like, what if something happens to the not mobile hotspot? Now I'm fuzzy. And I was like, oh, I'll just do it, right? Just in case. But I just did a speed test the other day and the upload speed was like really low. And since I'm live, I was like, oh, like the upload speed's a little low for going live. Um, anyway, 1694, here we go. So the thing, as I was typing 1694 on the number pad, it's 1694. So there's the 6-9 path, which is a 6, to make one vertical ascension to the 4, to go from 1 to 4. There was this 6-9 pathway that had to take place. And I feel like that's a thing. Like I'm trying to think of certain processes. I feel like a separation is like the easiest thing that comes to mind. I haven't used the wild unknown alchemy in a while. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know what cards I'm going to use. I don't know what I'm going to do. But it's like it's like really difficult to. Maybe it is a separation, right? So boiling point elevation is a thing, right? So if you have water, like pure water boils at a lower temperature than salted water. So if you put salt in water, it raises the boiling point. So the water can get hotter before it starts to boil, and maybe it'll like your noodles will get softer or something. Hey, Holly, how's it going? This See, I saw when I saw the finger on the video, I should have known the blurry vision. I should text her. I was like, I feel like I haven't talked to my mom in a while. She was like, that's because you were in London. And every time you go to London, it's like you're really present there. And I was like, it's the time difference. Like, because now when I visit, like, I visit people who work. And so, like, in the mornings, like, the people I visit are working. And so I have the afternoons, the evenings really with them. But the mornings over there are like super late over here. And so, yeah. And plus, I don't know. This year's been this year. It's fine. I've just been like, anyway, maybe I'm like coming out of my head. I feel like I've been in my head for a while, for months, kind of, sort of, technically since like March, low key. So, yeah, I guess since Aries season of 2025. So, this zodiac year, it's like I've been in my head for most of it. And I feel like maybe I'm like coming out more now. I am. Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, I know. It's like, I was like, well, I haven't been, I don't know. I've been kind of like wanting to go live. I've been feeling an itch, but I've been getting over the jet lag. So that's my excuse. I feel like I'm all over the place. But yeah, anyway. I feel like this energy came out before. So it's something like, I know there's what, boiling and freezing point. Is it freezing point depression? Boiling point elevation? I don't know. Anyway, I know it's a boiling point elevation. When you have a mixture, it boils higher, right? Especially water. So it's almost like with the 1694, it's almost like something couldn't boil because like the one can't get to the 4. So it has to take this 6-9 path. I could literally draw it. Oh, but I don't want to use my phone because I'm using the mobile hotspot. So it's fine. If you think of this, right? Oh, it's open. And there you go. If you think of this, so it's kind of slanted this way. I need to cut my nails. Anyway, like this is the one, this is the four, this is the broken path. It can't go from one to four. So it does 1, 6, 9, 4. And I feel like that's like, yeah. Actually, I kind of love that. I kind of love, yeah, I've been a little bit of a nomad this year. Um, and it's been really enlightening. Okay. Now it's like blurry again. It's fine. It's like the camera's blurring, the connection is stronger and then weaker, and we're just gonna go for it, right? Can you focus now? No. It's fine. Excuse me. So it's like this. Because there's no bridge from one to four. And I feel like I know in the deck of heroes or the book of heroes, which I'm pretty sure is like literally, oh, now it gets clear. I'm pretty sure, at least it used to be. Actually, I don't know if it's here anymore. I think I moved it. I'm like, no, that's the Stranger Things tarot. That is the Fairy Tarot. Here it is. The Deck of Heroes. I think it's the Fool card in the Deck of Heroes, where it's like you don't have to take the leap. This is literally, kind of, sort of, literally what 2025 has been for me. Like, especially like Aries to Sagittarius, I'll say Aries to Sagittarius. Because by Capricorn season, I was coming out of it. I mean, by the end of Sagittarius season, I was coming out of it. By Capricorn season, I was like out of it, slash mostly out of it. Um, and so that's the first 3 quarters of the year. Um, and it was that wandering, like so in this deck. I think it's the Fool card. I know it's a card in this deck. I don't specifically remember which one. Um, it's like there's the leap. I don't think it's the Fool. It may be. There's a cliff, not a crevasse. Um, and it's like the person is in the card. They're like faced with this leap, but it's like there's a path to go around it. Like you don't have to take the leap. There's a path to get there, and that's the 1694. It didn't take the leap. It took this, and it's not even a detour because it reads like the path, right? Like there's a break. If we are narrowly minded and focused, it looks like there's a break in the path, but the path, like, it veers off. Like that is the natural path. It just, like, there's no path there. So now it's giving me the Chariot, I believe, in the Dreams of Gaia tarot, which I think I have. I'm gonna grab those. I'm gonna pull that one. Oh, I knew it would come together because it typically does. I mean, this is, I feel like, my usual flow. And then sometimes I like try to stick to my idea of what I thought I was going to do. Cool. Actually, I don't know if I have that deck. It might be in storage. Let's see. I'm like reaching off camera today. Ugh. Yeah, because I feel like if I had it, I would have used it. I think it's the Dreams of Gaia tarot. Let's see. Oh, it's almost time. Oh, wait. I'm on my computer. Let's see. Yeah, that's my typical thought process, but I feel like this year has been a lot of like want. Well, actually, I was gonna say I feel like this year has been a lot of like wanting a more direct route. But if I really think about it, because my whole thing at the top of the year, end of last year into this year was like throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, see what sticks kind of energy, right? Like I'm wide open. And so I'm kind of like, whatever. And then it was like, understandably, as nothing was sticking, I was like, okay, like I'm ready to do something. I'm tired of throwing stuff at the wall. Um, one second. I know, I'm the worst. I do all kinds of stuff. It's like you couldn't do that before you went live. No, this is the flow. This is what we do over here. Cool. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, ooh, ooh, hold up. Like, not me trying to be considerate by not using my phone, not thinking that if I open this up, it'll also like, yeah, I don't know what we're doing today. Anyway, 1694. Oh, I want to look up it. I think it's the chariot in the Dreams of Gaia, where it's like there is no path, or the path forms as the chariot moves, right? And if we don't have the chariot, or if we don't have the belief, then, but again, it's a shortcut though. And it's not necessarily a shortcut because the path doesn't exist. Like we would think it should exist, or we would think that a bridge should be there because it ends here and we can see land on the other side. But it's like, again, that's not the path. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, and send. Boom. There we go. I wanted to send a happy new year to my friend. It's midnight somewhere, and even later in other places. Cool. All right, I'm back. Maybe I can get some focus. All right, all right. So let's get down to business. Don't come for me, Disney. Anyway, I want to, man, now I'm like, I have a solution. One second, I'm going to grab my other device and I will use that one to um, browse because, again, I don't want to tax my little mobile setup. Woo! It should be over here. Oh, over here. Oh my goodness. Hello? Oh my gosh, are these still on? No. No, they're not. That's so weird. I was like, hello? Okay, no, they're not. They're not. I had the little headphones icon, and I was like, I haven't used my headphones like since yesterday. Is the battery just like dying? Whew, it's not. I want to see. I know it's. I know there's a card. I have a chariot card, but now I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's the Dreams of Gaia. But now I'm like, I don't, because I feel like I read the book, and I don't know if the Dreams of Gaia didn't come with the book or if I just like don't use it. Uno momento, por favor. Dreams of Gaia Tarot Chariot. Because I feel like there's another chariot with a very similar. Um, Dreams of Gaia is the one. Because there's the one with the spider. No. Is it? It's not the vice versa. It's like I'm seeing more and more details of the card in my mind. It doesn't matter. I can pull before and after the chariot because I know it's the chariot card. This one I don't know if it's the fool. Anyway, there's a chariot in some deck that I own that's probably in storage because I feel like I haven't seen it in a while. Like I feel like they have like a blue back. Like I almost see the card back in my mind. And I'm like, what is that deck? I don't think it's the in between tarot. It's not the in between tarot. It's the. I think it's the vice versa. I think it's the vice versa chariot. I don't know. It's been what, half an hour, and I feel like I'll put it in the title. I'll be like, skip to an hour and 12 minutes. um, it's not the Dreams of Gaia. It's the vice versa tarot. New Year's Eve, no. Vice versa tarot chariot, and the vice versa has a light blue back. I'm pretty sure. Oh, they don't have card backs, but the back of the title card, like the box, is this light blue. Yeah, I was like, there's like light blue in my mind. The cards don't have backs because they're double sided. Anyway, I wish I could find vice versa tarot PDF. I don't know if they're gonna give it to me. I don't know if they're gonna give it to me. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. And that book I have read. I have read the vice versa. See, this isn't even what I necessarily thought I was going to do. Because I was like, oh, maybe I'll do. Oh, I went too far. We're at the Hermit. I was going to do like a Hermit Wheel of Fortune, maybe for like a 9 year into a 10 year. Strength. And the Chariot. Yep, it's this one. It's the backside of the Chariot. Oh, I can't even. Okay. There we go. Goodness. All right. It's that one. The path forms as the chariot moves. Oh goodness! All right. I love how my brain was like trying to give me so many clues. I'm like, no, it's not. Did I say the vice versa? Or did I say? I know I said in between tarot. I think I meant vice versa. And I was like, oh, there's like this light blue, like the box is like this light blue. I'm like getting all these pieces, and I'm like, oh, the vice versa. Anyway, oh yeah, the title. Yeah. I mean, maybe I shouldn't put it in yet. Skip to blank. Oop, blank. LOL. 12:31. Okay. All right. 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 So I'm gonna look before and after the chariot, but not because. And again, like the chariot is all about willpower. Perfect. The chariot is about willpower, right? So it takes an act of will to go where there is no path, right? Excuse me. Depending, it takes a. You could say it takes either ignorance or a tremendous amount of will. In ignorance, there is no knowledge that a path does not exist, right? Which is why in Looney Tunes, they can run off the cliff until they realize that they run out of ground and then they fall. I feel like ignorance isn't, it's like ignorance is the word, but it's not the vibe, right? Or if like ignorance is to ignore something, then it's like it ignores gravity and ignores the fact that there is no path, ignores all of this other stuff, and it continues in the way it was going, which is what you could also do with a tremendous will, with a tremendous exertion of will. To have a tremendous will is one thing, but to be unable to like exert that will can limit us, right? I'm not looking for strength because at this rate, I'll be looking through all of the majors. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna look before and after the chariot. I'm gonna look before and after this card, and that's the 1694. Because again, I feel like usually it would be an energy or a vibe that's like we couldn't take the direct route, so we had to take the detour. But it's like this isn't the detour because there was no like this is the path. There was no path that went from one mountaintop to the next mountaintop. There is no path between peaks, right? You have to go through the valley to reach another peak. Peaks and valleys, roller coaster, it's life, right? Unless you can fly or ignore gravity, defy gravity, if you will. Some of you may not, but today I won't either. Copyright. I'm kidding. I love to be like, oh, I don't want to get demonetized, even though this channel is monetized. Um, I feel like there's another. I think that's it. The Dreams of Gaia Tarot has cards that give that vibe of like forging a path. I don't know if I have a deck with me that does the same. I feel like now I'm seeing a bridge of stars, like a river of stars, which I know is a thing in like Okami. I feel like okay, sorry. Let me call of these thoughts. Okay. Mm, did I grab a tarot deck? I did not. And I'm not using the deck of heroes is kind of dark, meaning it's like kind of hard for me to see. Not dark tonally, but like you see that? Now on the camera, it it's a little brighter than how it looks in real life. And I don't even know what that is. That's the Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups with the hookah. Nine of Cups at the bottom of the deck. And also, I was thinking about the last one again with that Archangel Commander energy and how it was like, how it was rooted in the in between. Um, and Archangel Commander was like, because he is of the divine, holy of the divine, there's like, he could inform, teach, mentor, train us in like the arts of divinity so that we can tap into our own divinity, but we're not entirely divine. Or we are entirely divine, but we're physical and spiritual, right? And so that it's like there's purely divine and then there's more purely physical, and it's up to us to within us integrate the two in a way that makes sense for us. Again, alchemy, giving temperance, right? Ooh, I'll give it one more. Is that the Two of Swords? Oh no, it's death. Death and the Six of Cups at the cut. Why does this death card give like a Two of Swords energy? Can you see me? I kind of love it. It's like this Two of Swords within the Two of Swords. That quote, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for he is with me. Because it's like the reflection of this sort of death. I was going to look before and after the smoky mirror. Or because I was going to do the upper, middle, and lower world and the mystical shamanical cards. And then it was like the smoky mirror for whatever reason. Again, I didn't go live. And I didn't send myself anything to remind me of why. So it just kind of passed. Oh, hold up. There's another card. The Five of Swords was face up. And how interesting that the Five of Swords is one of the like best lit cards in this entire deck. Yeah, this is the deck of heroes, so Anyway. The Five of Swords also came out recently. The Five of Swords to me is such an interesting card because I've I've always interpreted the Five of Swords as being in the position of the victor. But every time more often than not, when I encountered someone else talking about the Five of Swords, they interpret it from the position of the victim, the one who feels like they have come up against insurmountable odds and walk away in defeat, rather than the one who has maybe applied way too much pressure and kind of overdid it a little bit or a lot of it. And it's like kind of a like winning at what cost type of vibe, right? So for me, that's always been interesting because it wasn't until I've seen more and more and more and more people talk about it that I was like, oh yeah, like that is a position, that is a like a valid way to read this. Because, but I guess to me, it's like the people who are defeated are in the background of the card too, and the victor is in the foreground. So maybe it could mean like feeling like you're a side character in your own, like your life is supposed to be your story, but it could be when we feel like we're in the background or on the back burner or a side character in our own lives and our own stories. Anyway, another card that's the Five of Cups. What an interesting depiction of the Five of Cups. I feel like this deck is like growing on me low key. I'm like, wow, like, okay. Because the Five of Cups is a card of grieving, but it's like, the person is crying over, grieving over the three spilled cups, but there are two still cups upright. And that same imagery isn't here in this card. So it's like it feels appropriate. Um, there is a um, sorry. And now I'm using my phone, lol. Oh, it was right there. One second. It was right there. I didn't even have to scroll. Okay, I'm trying not to, but maybe I should have just scrolled. Oh, boom. There we go. Wow! Confetti, love it. All right, all right, all right, all right. I'm going to timestamp it like here. And we're more or less going to get into it 3700. I'll just put it in the title and not timestamp the video, even though I could timestamp the video with roughly the same amount of efforts. Yeah, I guess I'll timestamp it because why not? Okay, so I'll say Ramble as always, lol, at 0000, and then start here and prolly still ramblin, lol, at 3740. I can kind of see the time. All right. So if you skipped ahead, this is the part where I say probably still gonna ramble. LOL. I'm just like shuffling this deck. Again, I don't know. I love that there's like an appropriateness to the grief in this card. Because again, a lot of times, I don't know if it's how it's drawn or if it's because it's been interpreted and like so often that it's like it's not that it's inappropriate, but it's like maybe we've grieved enough and it's time to move on. Or it's one of those like, well, it's not all bad because there are two cups that are still upright. Like 40% remains. Yes, you may have lost 60% of something, but hey, it's not all gone. Could be worse. All five cups could be spilled. Anyway, it's shuffling easy. Like, I love a deck that makes me feel like I'm great at shuffling cards. Ooh, a title card. I looked at the card and I'm like, I love that it's this like ink quill. It's a quill, ink quill pen, and the quill and the ink. Because again, with the Five of Swords, it was like there's a way to look at it where it's like someone feels like a side character in their own life or in their own story. And with this whole like the path doesn't exist except under like a tremendous expression of will. There's something here that's almost like it's time to there's an implication that it's time to pick up the pen and begin to write your own story. But in the image, the quill sits in the pot. So it would be like extrapolation to say it's time to pick up the pen and begin to write. And it's funny because as I talk about it, it's like the pen was just returned The quill was just returned because someone's finished pinning the story. And it's interesting because I was telling my friend, my journey buddy, that it feels like the tail end of 2025 has, by the tail end, I mean basically since Capricorn season. But to be generous, we'll say midway through December. Um, it's felt like pencils down. Like there was the exam, and then there was extra time, and it was like I was using that extra time to like check over my answers. If there was anything that I was unsure about as I was taking the test, I was like double checking. There were a few things that's maybe it's like as I was checking my work, I thought I made a mistake. I thought like I was being hasty or whatever. I made a mistake, but like I realized I did it right the first time, and the mistake would have been when I attempted to correct the mistake because I didn't make a mistake. There were some mistakes that were corrected as well. It's like the whole experience, but it's like now time is out, and it was like that pencils down energy. So like the quill has been returned to the well again, like as I talk about it, it feels like that's the impression that I'm getting more so than the one of like someone has never sort of written their own story. If it resonates or fits, then take it as it resonates, right? But in the case of like pencils down, it's like now the thing will play out, right? On the other side is the Six of Wands, which is a card of victory. And I don't know, I am like loving this deck today. This is one of those that I got and didn't really connect to. Also, I see it a lot better on the camera, like because in real life it's dark. It's like this person is ascending the stairs to sit on the throne type energy. Well, it's not necessarily a throne. There's like an attendant up there. Maybe they're going to meet the king. They stand before the king. I know in the in between tarot, there are energies of what do you call it when someone assumes a throne? Like one person steps down and another person steps up type energy. It's not secession. It may be secession. Like seceding a throne. Is that a thing? Succeding. A throne. Succeeding a throne means becoming the new monarch, following a legal or customary order of succession, usually based on lineage, with terms like accede to the throne or ascend the throne used formally. The process involves established rules like, okay, girl, give me a big word and I'll give up. It's what I was looking for. And it's interesting. So I found like every now and then Mesopotamia, the song will come into my mind, and I'll remember that I never finished the last two kings. I think I did the first kings, which were Sargon and Hammurabi. And I thought about it not too long ago. And then on my computer, I found the bones of the spread for one of the kings. And I was going to read it, but I was like, I'll have to do some research because I don't remember. Or I could watch the video and it's like, I ain't got time for that. I think it's Sargon, Hammurabi, Mesopotamia, Sargon, Hammurabi, Ashurbanipal, and Gilgamesh. The third one I probably butchered. Sargon, Hammurabi, Ashurbanipal, and Gilgamesh. Um, anyway, it's like the pen is down, right? Pencil's down. Someone's like ascending the throne. And that gives the energy of Phanuel, Angel of Truth. So I guess that'll be the last card I look for. So it's a little bit more focused after the timestamp, and I will take that. All right, so I'm looking before and after. I believe the Fool. I don't think it's the Fool, but it's Fool energy. Then I'm gonna look before and after the Chariot. Oh, I got a flipper. Oh, and I got this card. Oh, okay. Now it's on the table. The Six of Wands wanted to come back out, and no, it's the Two of Wands. Interesting. I'm gonna keep this Two of Wands because it's like it's this kind of energy. No, it won't focus. Like there's the path we see, there's the light at the end of the cave, at the end of the tunnel on the other side, and then it gets kind of dark in between. We would assume that since there's a path in front of us and obviously a path on the other side by the exit, that it would be continuous. But due to a natural feature or otherwise, the path actually veers to the left and then it comes back to the right to complete that journey. Again, unless someone can defy gravity. Oh, wait, we're not defying gravity. Someone can ignore gravity and continue as if the path were paved. And it's so interesting. Again, it's interesting for it to fall, for the energy to fall under the word ignorance, because I feel like with ignorance, there is an implication or a connotation of like someone who doesn't know better. But it's like there's not a path there. So it's not ignorant to not see something that doesn't exist. And with either a tremendous expression of will or a force of will, you could say a tremendous force of will, because the force could be in expression. Sometimes the force is in its existence, right? There's a lot of force that Jupiter exerts on the solar system by existing, right? Because like gravity and stuff like that, right? It's not necessarily magnetic in the case where there is a push or a pull. Judgment and the Ten of Wands and Strength all flipped over inside the deck. Interesting. Um, but yeah, because it feels like it could be like faith or belief or trust. It feels like it could be trust, right? Like someone trusts that they won't fall. And because they trust, and their trust is like trusting that you won't fall is one thing, accurately placing your trust in something that will hold you is the thing that completes that thing. Because we can have absolute faith in something that can't do anything for us or won't. Well, we'll say can't, because the won't is a different story. It's a little gray. That can't and or, there you go. That can't and or won't, then we'll fall. And it's not a lack of faith. That's the reason why we fell. It's misplaced faith. Assuming that it's not for us to fall, right? Because sometimes our path is our path. And no amount of faith will necessarily overturn what the divine has for us or in store for us, or how the divine has laid something out, right? Anyway, again, it's just so interesting to me that ignorance is like the word that feels the most appropriate, but not for, it's like not because of its connotation. You could say technically purely by its definition, but it feels like even the definition of the word would belie. Oh, I'm playing this game. And this is another thing. I'm playing the game, right? And there are axons in the game, which is a huge clue what the game is. And I'm very bad at spoiling things, so I'll just try to be as generic as possible now. There are axons in the game. By the time you learn about the axons, you know that you have to defeat them. So, you know. But there is one, he who guards truth with lies. And then one character is like, is it guard like protect or is it guard like control? And the person is like, yes. Um, he who guards truth with lies. And it made me think of Sylvanus in the Fairy Tarot, which is a mask of truth. And why is this coming to mind now? I don't know. We got too far. Too far, too far. Because the ignorance thing, because of how it's like the truth, it's like the resonance behind the word ignorance in it applying to this belies like its definition or its connotation or its use. And so maybe that in and of itself is a thing. I think sometimes we try to, sometimes we will find a truer resonance within a word. And we may recognize that, like, the connotations of the word don't really fit the truth of the meaning behind it. And so we may try to introduce different words. Like we'll use other words to mean the same thing, but a rose by any other name is still a rose, right? Like you could speak a different language and still be talking about the same thing. And I think sometimes it's almost like we have to get closer to the truth of the thing because just using another word isn't necessarily gonna like take us there anyway. So, judgment, which is this winged one, the 10 of wands, which we actually saw recently. It was the 10 of wands and the 7 of wands, which was that ace of wands. Was that? And then strength. Strength is on a horse, and for one, maybe there's like usually, and we are going into the horse year. Usually there's a lion on strength, so the horse is like kind of. It's interesting because there's horses on the chariot, and again, it's either ignorance or a tremendous force of will. So, assuming this is that chariot like energy, with the chariot, though, in the depiction of the chariot, there are two horses who naturally want to go in opposite directions, but it's the force of will exerted by the charioteer that keeps them aligned on the same path and that moves the chariot forward. It feels like, again, it's that same chariot energy, but through ignorance, it treats the two horses as if through either ignorance or a tremendous force of will, it treats the two horses as if they are one. And so when you treat the two horses as if they are one, they have no choice but to move on one accord because they are one horse. Right? Even if the path doesn't exist, it ignores gravity because, and it's, I'm watching another show, there's a king who's like, whichever path I take is the right path. And so he's like breaking down walls. He's ending up in VIP areas that he's not supposed to be in. He's sitting on important people's chairs. And he's like, wherever I sit is my throne, which is interesting because that was a line that came up recently within the past month or so. It's like wherever the emperor sits, that's his throne. So you can't steal the emperor's, you can't sit in the emperor's chair and think that it entitles you to anything because the chair is just a chair. A crown is just a crown. All of those things are symbolic. And for those that worship or respect the symbol, it holds weight. But for those who look at substance, it's worthless because it's a hat and it's a seat. Like the emperor can sit literally anywhere, and the emperor can wear literally any hat. The seat doesn't make the man, and the hat doesn't make the woman, and no person is defined by the things that they adorn themselves with. It's all internal. Now it's giving me the Ten of Wands from also the Dreams of Gaia. Ten of Fire. Oh, look, Ten of Wands energy right there. It's giving me the Ten of Fire in the Dreams of Gaia tarot. And again, I don't have the deck, so I can't go looking for it. But the Ten of Wands is right here. Cool, love it. And then there's the winged one with the stairs to ascend. For some reason, it's like as I'm getting into it, I don't know if it's because I'm like reading this in its entirety or if it's because something feels like it's not like again when I saw the thing, the quill in the well, it feels like it has like literally just been put in, like someone just finished writing and put it away. And then like the story plays out. So it feels like we are approaching, if it resonates, we are approaching the place for which there is no path now. But up until this point, it felt like we had already approached that point. And again, it's interesting, but maybe not. On one hand, it's interesting that there's a 696 because 6 plus 9 is 15, which is a 6, which is also double energy, which is interesting, which isn't, it's not, it is, it's interesting that it isn't interesting, and it's not interesting that it is interesting. It's one of those things where it's like, it is what it is. Right? We as humanity get to ascribe meaning to certain things. We get to determine outcomes collectively or selectively, and it's just like that's the way it is. Why this way? Who knows? Why when it disproportionately benefits an extreme few? Who knows? um anyway, there's a 6 to gain 3. And it's interesting that it's not 3, but it's easy to go like, well, some of it is lost. Right. So you get roughly 50% of the, I mean, I guess if we don't even go there, if we don't even go to the exact number, we go from 6 to 3. Some of it is lost. 50% efficiency is all we need to get from 1 to 4, which is passing, right? It doesn't matter if we get a 51%. It doesn't matter if we get a 25%. That's extra, apparently. Bonus points, which actually makes sense. There are bonus points, yes. I feel like it's almost like the exceptionally ignorant shall be rewarded. But again, it's not, it's like it's not ignorant because it doesn't know. It's not ignorant because it's stupid. It's ignorant because it's almost like it's ignorant because it realizes how trivial certain things are. And it's not ignorant to ignore trivial matters. You could say, some do say, that it's ignorant to get lost in what is trivial and what ultimately doesn't matter. To be so lost in it that we never overcome it. And it was like, girl, it was literally a crumb on your path. You're not an ant. You could keep walking. And if you step on it, it wouldn't matter because it literally, like, you are a giant compared to this. It is there, it exists, yes, but it literally impacts you only in that you visually chose to notice this insignificant thing out of all of the grandeur of what lays in front of you. And that was, oof, I feel like this is probably one of those I'm gonna have to watch back. Like, read me, yes. I'm triggered. Anyway, again, it's just so interesting to me how well the word ignorant fits, but it's not ignorant at all. And maybe that's why too it's like a little fool energy, like jestery type energy. I was actually gonna look. I was gonna go into the Archeo for some reason. I'm not gonna look before and after the jester because looking before and after a card in the Archeo, because it's so like oracly or so archetypal. Actually, I will, because I was like, the deck is so archetypal that it can be difficult to get an archetype, excuse me, to get archetypes that are reflective of this archetype, right? But then, like, the moon cat, and as soon as I started talking about it, and the moon cat is literally all over this. The moon cat came to mind. The inventor could come to mind because again, it's one that creates a path where there, like, where one doesn't exist. And it's interesting because I think we saw the challenge of the page of wands maybe in the deck dungeon challenges, and it was all about creating like a new word. And it was that energy of like, before this word existed, or it's like before the word was a thing, the thing didn't exist. It's like before there was a word lie. Like, imagine a time or a movie where like nobody, like everyone told the truth. Because nobody lied, there was no word for a lie. Because what is a lie when everyone tells the truth? Until the first liar came. And when the first liar came and brought lies to the world, then the word for lie existed. And then there became more liars. Right. It's obviously different, but I've seen enough. I don't know if I've actually seen the movies. Hey, look, there's the inventor. Literally the inventor at the cut. Cool. I was just talking about you. And who's this? The nurse, the midwife, the inventor, and the midwife. Oh, they're looking at each other. It's like the midwife delivers what the inventor conceives of. Interesting. Anyway, I'm just shuffling this apparently. Um, I guess I'll do it. I still haven't pulled the cards I'm looking for. From the bottom of the deck, we have the Green Man and the Poet. The Green Man and the Poet. Green Man is also a trickstery type energy. The Green Man, the Poet, and then the Dreamer, which is interesting. I was only going to do like one or two. The Green Man, she's giving like trickstery type. She reads as trickster, but she just has like a non-mortal morality or a non-mortal conception of reality and the proceedings of things. It doesn't, it's like it's not human, so it doesn't do things as humans do. The divine isn't human. It does things in divine ways which are mysterious to us. God operates in mysterious ways. But to the divine, it's almost like to the divine, they're not that mysterious, right? It's like if you weren't bound by gravity, then like flying or walking off a cliff and not falling or stepping off of a boat and not falling into the water, like it's not that mysterious. Like gravity has no effect. So it would be weird if I wasn't affected by gravity and I fell. You're right. That would be stranger than me existing. I don't know. Anyway, or the energy. Yeah. Right, right. And then the poet. So the poet sees the green man and then dreams of flying as well. So he creates the airplane so he can fly us the birds too. He creates. Ooh, girl. My North Node is in Sagittarius. Imagine, if you will, don't take it if it doesn't resonate, but it's almost like he invents religion to become more divine or to emulate the divine more. But as beings that are created in the image of the divine, or as beings that hold a spark of divinity within us, we shouldn't need anything externally motivated, sourced, provided, whatever, to connect to what is within us, to the truth that is within us. But so often we can be so incapable of seeing our own truths that it's more reliable. So it's kind of like a not a double-edged sword. It's a necessary, I don't want to say a necessary evil, because in some ways there's a lot of evil that has been done because of religion and dogma in general. A lot of things that are justified when it's like, it's so funny how we can humanly justify things that defy like so much of what honestly and supposedly we all believe, right? Anyway, I feel like I saw that too. And maybe it was in that he who, yeah, it was I don't remember. But in the same game, probably maybe not. I don't think it was that exact area. It wasn't that exact area. There was another area. He who guards the truth with lies. There was also someone else who was like, who basically said that, like, for us to see the truth of who we are, like light and dark, is for us to be whatever. Some of these are in reverse, and that's fine. I'm not going to put them up right now. I'm not going to slow down to do that. The innocent. Oh, it's not the moon cat or the. That's not the inventor. The observer. I'm like, it's not the moon cat. Then who was with the jester? Hello? There is a jester, right? I'm pretty sure. Is this the jester? This is the jester. Jester is in reverse. The duende is in reverse. Duend. And the star. What is this? The star climber. I love that. They're all in reverse. I'm going to flip them up right. Oh, so boom, look. Now they're all upright. Cool. The star climber is so interesting because in judgment, there's also the staircase. Oops. Stairs and ladders. But the creature, And the star climber doesn't need a ladder. Ladders are a people thing, right? Because people can't defy gravity. Oops, sorry. People can't ignore. People can't ignore gravity. So we have stairs and ladders and airplanes, and we have invented devices to ascend and accede. Oh gosh, it's fine. So it's in between the star climber and the do end. Let's see. I'm gonna look that one up, even though I could just Google. I mean, I could probably read the book, and it would tell me. Elf, goblin, leprechaun. Translations of Duend, elf, goblin, leprechaun. What? So one of the things people also ask, what does duende mean in Spanish slang? Well, that's one thing. And then over here, it says duende or tener duende can be loosely translated as having soul, a heightened state of emotion, expression, and heart. The artistic and especially musical term was derived from the duende or duende, a fairy or goblin-like creature in Spanish and Latin American mythology. Is that what that is? I was just like, oh, it's like an elf or a goblin or a fairy. LOL. Interesting. Well, fairies. Well, I'm assuming it's the kind of fairy that can fly. Elves and goblins, not necessarily known for flying. Fairies, yeah, because they have wings, right? Not everything with wings can fly or does fly. And not everything without wings doesn't, apparently. Superman doesn't have wings. Well, Superman isn't real. So, woo! Hashtag your favorite atheist. Why not? We're already talking about religion. Why not talk about a religion? This is such an interesting trio of cards because even the jester, for some reason, she's giving like kitsune. So, like under the hood, like there are fox ears. This person looks mostly human. As I was like, I don't know if it's because the card was in reverse, but as I was looking at it, she was giving like, okay, she's not entirely human. So, like, none of these are. And so it's almost like they pretend, right? So imagine being divine in a world of man, and you are visually similar, aesthetically indistinct. I wouldn't say aesthetically because there are more to aesthetics than looks. There's also an air or a vibe, right? There's that doing having soul, right? There's like visually, there's no difference. Visually, there's little difference. And no one else ignores gravity. So you ignore gravity. No one else ignores gravity, so you don't ignore gravity. No one else flies, so you don't fly, right? Because you're born and you don't think it's possible. I mean, when you're really, really young, you think you can do anything, right? How many kids are running around in capes and costumes? And how much of the world, I guess, tells them to grow up? Anyway, let me keep going. All right. So I'm still looking for that one card. I'm going off because it might be. No, it's a Pentacles card. I mean, the truth is, at any point, you can ignore gravity and just fly where you're going, right? And I mention that because, again, at the start of this, it was a feeling of, well, we're already on the other side. So, it would have been nice to know that we could forge our own path, but we've already reached our destination. Or we've already started walking. Just because you started walking doesn't mean you have to keep walking, right? If at any point in time you realize, remember, recognize, or discover an ability or a capability, you can use it, right? Like, yeah, for health reasons, every now and then you may want to like use your legs because the muscles will atrophy if you don't use them. But like, you don't have to walk around if you don't want to, right? Type energy. At any point, you can ignore gravity. Death being a two of swords now, it feels like a decision or the crossroads of a moment of, okay, like I know this, I can accept this. Oh, look, the two title cards are together now. Um, but will I like live in the truth of it? I'm looking through all these cards and I have not seen what I'm looking for. I'm gonna give it a shuffle and then I'll take another look because maybe it's not where it's supposed to be. Ooh, my nose is like starting to tickle. Oh gosh. Oh, I got a tickle in my nose now. I don't like it. I might have to blow my nose. I thought it was like a wild whisker that curled up. And again, we're not entirely being human means that we have a divine component, we have a spirit or a soul, right? So we are both ephemeral and eternal. The flesh dies, but the soul lives on in whatever way it lives on. Right. So this time, a Queen of Cups came out. Which is another fairly bright. I couldn't find the fifth cup. There were two at the top. I saw one at the bottom, and then the person in the Five of Cups was holding a cup. I was like, I don't see the fifth cup. And it's like this Queen of Cups is holding the fifth cup. This feels like the person that was at the Five of Cups. This is a memento of the person. So the person has returned a memento to the family of their fallen comrade type energy. And it's almost like I feel like, especially with the death card and the two of swords, maybe sometimes we, out of, for the best reasons and with the best intentions, um, there is limitation. Either we limit ourselves or we limit others because of there are certain things that we don't want to change. And it's almost a comfort in like there are many things that will change. And you could say everything will change. But just because everything changes doesn't mean that all will be lost. Or it doesn't mean that things won't be found again or that things won't be made anew. Right. And so, ooh, okay. I just got hit with like emotion. I was like, oh, that came out of nowhere. Um, and so it's almost like the most beautiful things in the world don't have to be the things that hold us back. Or they don't have to be turned into weapons to hold others back. Interesting. Aside, okay. Now let's do this thing one more time. I'm going to try to pay a little bit more attention this time and see if the card will appear. Because I did not notice it that last time. Maybe I got distracted by the abs. I didn't, but maybe. Or maybe just, again, it wasn't in its proper spot yet. Or it wasn't time for it to be revealed. There is more to the story that is yet to be revealed. Don't rush to the end, because you may miss something important. It's almost like it's like in a video game, it would be unlocking a secret ending or a hidden ending. It's like you acquire some special item or have some special dialogue so that at the end of the story or at the end of the game, the story can continue. So it's almost like, throughout your journey, let's say you, again, because what felt like a detour was the path. And where we thought there should have been a path, there wasn't a path that existed. And so along the way, there are many things that you come across and have the option to collect. Now I wish I could like take the fool from the magician to the world and see if it collects what it needs at each spot. And then if it has enough, then maybe it can survive the final boss at the world. And if it doesn't, hey, maybe it takes another trip. Anyway, it's like when you reach the end, it's like someone's like, I lost this, or I don't have this, or it's like this is the reason why the story ends here. But if you're observant, yeah, if you are observant now and followed your hunches and intuition and discernment along the way, it's like there's something that you would have collected to take this further, to take it further, to reach the true ending. And it's like, oh, like if you're missing a whatever, I just so happened to pick this up along the way. And that ends up being the key to unlocking the true ending. Like now things can progress beyond where they were supposed to end. Where did that come from? I don't know. I'm not seeing this card. Oh, it's this one. No, it's not. It's not this card. But this card is the High Priestess. Actually, is it this card? I'm pretty sure it's not, but it looks very similar to the High Priestess. And the High Priestess is the one that would know of all of those things: hidden paths, secret endings, what's truly important. I'm pretty sure it's not that card, but it does look visually similar. And I'm at like, I'm within the last few cards again. And I am not seeing this card that I know is in this deck. Oh, here's the Five of Cups again. 4. Is it this one? No. It's like the Seven of Swords card, but it's not. And it's mirrored. Like the thing is on the right side of the card, the person is on the left side of the card. I have like so few cards left. And I know this card is in this deck. Okay, I'm gonna give it one more shuffle. I mean, I guess I already have like 3 cards from this deck and enough to continue. So ultimately, at this point, the card is more symbolic because it's been long enough, almost an hour, that um, I got it. It's not in the box, is it? No, okay. Because sometimes a card will stick to the box. Am I gonna have to count these cards? All right. At the bottom of the deck now, we have the Queen of Pentacles, the Temperance card, and the Hierophant. This Queen of Pentacles is, it feels like she's stepping down. It feels like this is the Queen of Pentacles. She's stepping down, and this individual has just inherited the pinnacle. He's ascended the throne. And now this is like his responsibility or whatever. And then we have this intemperance. Someone has like this feels like an individual. And that's the angel. And they're like, usually we see the angel alone pouring water from one cup into the other. But here, just like in this judgment card, that's like really blurry now. Yeah, in judgment, there's a person here and then the winged one up there and the staircase. Someone has met the angel of temperance, the angel that usually stands alone. And then the Hierophant is here and all of its associations with divinity. Also, this is a 5, 14, 5, and the 5, 5. So Queen 5, 5. And again, 5 is a number of change. 10 is a number of the turning of the wheel in a new way. One cycle has completed, another cycle is beginning. So the reign of this queen is ending. The reign of this queen is just beginning. And yeah. And then, yeah, the person at the feet of the Hierophant. This is so interesting. It's not giving undercover boss energy. Although I could read it that way. It's almost like it would be usually the subjects kneel before the king. And more often than not, it's a forced and enforced show of respect. They don't kneel before the king for the benefit of themselves. They do it for the pride and ego of their ruler. Because to defy the king is an invitation for death in a lot of courts, because it's what being the king means. But it's like this is the king that humbles himself before his people type energy. Because so this individual energy has ascended a throne. Officially, legitly, that's part of secession. Secession to the throne is a legit thing. This isn't someone overthrowing whatever and sitting on seats that aren't theirs, thinking it will give them something that's not theirs. And whatever. Then meets with the divine, and here's like a clergy member, and this person again, it's almost like if the priests knew who this person was, then it would be like the roles would be flipped. But that's not how it works. And again, it's one of those interesting things that's not really interesting. It's only interesting because of the way that it would be seen, right? There are plenty of people and kings and serfs and everything in between included that would go, why would a king humble himself before his people? Why would a king bow at the feet of whoever? And it's almost like, well, most kings wouldn't. You could say that no king would. But for those who know, they would know that those people aren't really kings or queens or not true royalty. Interesting. Okay, let's give this a last look through. Actually, I have a book. And the book does not have images of the cards. No. I wish it had images so I could just like scroll through to know if I'm missing a card or not. I'm so sure. Okay, I'm going to look for the card and pentacles. I'm going to put these back. Actually, yeah, it was these. No. I feel like I should keep these. Oh, it's fine. I'm going to look through all of these cards and 14 of them in particular. Oh, look, it's the King of Pentacles. Oh, this is the new king. The king has succeeded the throne. See, I knew I should have kept these cards, but it was literally on the bottom. Like, that's the guy that she gave the pinnacle to. This is him as he now rules. Interesting. See, that's the thing about ego. Or it's like the interesting thing about ego is that some things are only egoic if you aren't who you are, right? It would be, you could call the civilian egomaniacal for behaving in a way a king or an emperor would. But you wouldn't say that of a king or an emperor or a queen or anyone who is acting within their station, fulfilling their role. For them, they know who they are, they know what they must do, and they know how it is to be done. For them to be egoic is for them to be who they are. But for someone of a lesser station or status to do the same way, or to do the same things or similar things in similar ways, that would be egoic in a way that is like inappropriate, quote unquote. Right. It just popped into my mind as I was playing that game, the saying, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And while it's truer that what's good for the goose is good for the gander, what's good for the gander isn't necessarily always good for the goose. because not all geese are ganders. I promise. If I don't find this card today, I will be in this deck for some reason in the future, and it will be right there. But again, if I didn't go this deep into these, I wouldn't have read where we are. Again, it would have been like a premature ending where I could have missed the thing that takes us to the true ending of this. And I'm trying to make sure like it's not stuck behind some other card. Because they are kind of glossy. The thing about glossy cards is it's not the Fool, and I didn't think it was. The thing about glossy cards sometimes is they like stick to each other in a way that matte cards don't necessarily. Some interaction between the gloss and surface tension or whatever. Maybe surface tension isn't the word, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Or you don't. Okay, I am well into these cards again. I am well into these cards again. I am nearing the end of the cards again. It might be like this High Priestess is the closest I'm seeing to the image. But it's not her. So many of these cards are so interesting. They're just like depicted in a way that I haven't seen, or in a way that speaks today. It speaks today in a way that it may not speak tomorrow. Is this the card? I think this may be the card. Three of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles, and our they're still together. And our pink quill. If this is the card, it'd be interesting because again, the High Priestess was the closest card. The High Priestess and the title cards. The title card for me, the High Priestess is the High Priestess. The title card for me is when we are asking questions of the High Priestess that we either aren't ready for the answers for, or that we don't have a way of like making sense of. Right. I'm pretty sure that's it. But again, in my recollection of the card, the pinnacle was on the right. Like in my mind's eye, the person is on the left, the pinnacle is on the right. Yeah, I'm guessing it was that one. Five of Pentacles. We've seen all the fives. The Five of Pentacles is the only dark one. The Five of Cups, the Five of Swords, and the Five. Oh, we haven't seen the Five of Wands. I don't think. The Five of Cups and the Five of Swords were brighter. So are you ready? It was this Ace of Pentacles. Yeah. See, there's the pentacle on the path. There's the gap. So you would think you have to take the leap. But if you look at the card, it's like there's enough context here, or in my mind's eye. Yeah, yeah. There's a whole path. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. But see, there's like the cobblestone, it goes off in that direction. So he's confronted with this leap that he thinks he has to take, but he can do the alchemy of 1694, take the 9-6 path, and then if you get at least 50% of it, if you retain at least 50% of what is on offer, then that's the 3 that you need to make that 1-4 gap. Again, in my mind's eye, this was mirrored. Maybe it was mirrored in my mind's eye because for a while on YouTube, when I like streamed on YouTube, what I see in the box versus what the viewer sees was like mirrored. So it would show me a mirrored version of things, but when it like as you watch it, it would be the correct way. And maybe because I saw the mirror and I saw the card more in the because again they're kind of dark, so I see them a lot better when I hold them up like this and I'm looking at it in my screen than I do if I like look at the card myself. And maybe that's why, because I was looking at the mirror of the card. But this is the card. It's the Ace of Pentacles, which is interesting because the Ace of Pentacles has been coming out quite a lot lately. And the Ace of Pentacles just came out in the Rider Waite Smith in the thing. There was a thing that was presented before that world card moment. And it makes sense because the Ace of Pentacles is something that is so huge that it has very much so the ability to completely impact change, to completely change someone's life. So then it is world card energy. But there was almost a feeling of like typically you would enter a world card, you would enter a whole new phase before something presents itself. And it's in between the Three of Pentacles and this title card again. So there's all 3 of them. There's the 3 if you want to. This is such an interesting 3 of Pentacles. And it's interesting that this card is discovered here. Because she's touching his chest. It's almost like it feels like he's like trying to be serious about something and he's just like eye candy for her type energy. So it reads as like an invitation or a moment of recognition, but it's someone who isn't being recognized for what they think they should be recognized for. In this case, according to the illustration and the vibe, it reads as true. But it's like we have enough of a backstory. There was enough of a detour that it's like this is an energy that is who they say they are. And it's an energy that can do what they are of a mind to do. And if that mind is made by itself or with collaborative effort, it doesn't, it matters, but it's not the focus. Like he's being objectified and devalued at the same time, right? Like it'd be different if he was objectified and respected, right? Because what is objectively, if anything is objectively attractive, then all else that it is doesn't take away that attractiveness, right? So if someone is like brilliant and attractive, it doesn't matter how attractive they are, they're still brilliant. So, but they're still attractive. So if they garner certain attention or if their physicality inspires certain reactions, it's like to be expected, but that's not all that person is. This is someone who's being treated as if that's all they are. If it were a both situation, it would be a different story. It's not reading like a both situation. This is reading like he has any in a way that you see a lot of. It's like the roles have been flipped, honestly, in the way which may make sense in this deck because it really objectifies the men. So yeah, um, it objectifies them in the way that they're illustrated. Abs, shirts off, most of the cards, buns on display with airtight wrappers and seals. But it's like he's like talking, expounding upon something, and she's like, "Stop! Like, you're here for your body, not your brain. I don't care." But it's like it's for him to realize, or maybe he now realizes that I don't know why it's so hard to like communicate such a simple idea. It's like he doesn't need her to do what is for him to do. And he knows that now. Or he will discover. Because again, there was that feeling, the vibe of like just because you start a path doesn't mean you like just because you start by walking doesn't mean that you can't fly when you have the realization that you can. That could be the very thing that helps him realize I am like I get that I'm attractive, sure, but just because I'm attractive doesn't mean that I can't be taken seriously. And right now it's time for me to be taken seriously. And if she's not going to take me seriously, I'm not going to let that stop me from doing what I know needs to be done. And by that point, he'll realize, however, why ever he thought he needed her, if she's not going to be of a help, if she's only going to be of a hindrance, doesn't matter. Type energy. Cool. And because of the background story, or maybe it's in the background of the story but the foreground of the illustration, this could be like, let's say that this was a diplomatic mission, right? You have this new King of Pentacles energy that has just, and we literally just saw the King of Pentacles in this shuffle. He should be close to the top of the deck. No, the Queen of Pentacles was at the top of the deck. The King of Pentacles was in here somewhere. Um, like this is a diplomatic mission, right? He is going to meet the other kings and queens and people, and this was to strengthen the relations between two nations, and their queen is just like, ooh, you're cute and single, let's do that political marriage thing. You will be mine, and both of our kingdom, like your kingdom will prosper because of its relationship with my kingdom, and you will be my thing to look at and touch as I please. And he's like, hey, I'm attractive, I get it. I'm single, I get it. I'm new to this, I get it. You think that All of these things that make perfect logical sense. Unfortunately for you, I'm not that kind of king. And also, my kingdom doesn't really need you. I, in the story, have come as an extension of like warmth and gratitude to for positive relations, not because of a need, not because of anything. And if your interest is purely whatever, that doesn't serve anyone's interest. It doesn't serve my interest. It doesn't serve the interests of my people. And quite frankly, blah 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 blah. And then, whatever type energy, right? Because again, there is an element of, because in that Hierophant card, I'll pull all of them. This is the king that humbles himself before his people, right? This is a king that does things in a way that no other royalty does. It is always the servants that kneel before the king. It is never a king that humbles himself before a person. A king should never be on his knees or never be seen on his knees. And I'm sorry, a brief lapse of immaturity. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Anyway, there are instances for which it is perfectly permissible for a king to be on his knees. Some of those instances definitely involve queens. Most, if not the upper majority of the time, it's his queen. And not some random think he needs her. Not that. This, again, there's like a true truth in, where did I put that queen? She's over here. They're both over here. I was like, I thought I put it aside. I did put it aside. He's like the new king, right? And she's like, oh, you've come of age. You've really matured quite well. And let's just end the story there because we ain't got to get into all the other stuff. All of the other stuff is background information that doesn't change the situation. Anyway, there he is. And it's almost like it's because of this meeting that he can do that. Right? Because like if you think about it, there are so many, it's interesting, maybe. You could say it's interesting that the figures that some systems of belief are based upon were so like humble, and how they would humble themselves before so many, but how leaders within those beliefs would like never humble themselves in some ways. And the ways that like matter, they're so egoic in their standing that they would never humble themselves the ways that what those beliefs, the figures that those beliefs are based upon, would humble themselves, which could be another sort of marker of um, truth. Cool. All right. Goodness. I still didn't read this. I can read this now. I'll read the Star Climber in one day. I'll try it this way. I'll read it this way. I'll do the attribute of the Star Climber and then the persona of the Duende. And then I'll do the attribute of the Duende and the persona of the Star Climber. Because that's more fun. Because that's how I'm going to do it. There we go. Not the Dreamer, the Duende. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Actually, maybe we won't. Maybe we will just do it this way. The Star Climber. The Star Climber places a ladder against the night sky and begins his ascent. Wow! Not ascending the throne, girl. Okay, all right. Cool. Love it. Love it. I mean, the ladder is there. Ascent to the heavens, and again, there was a star case. Star case? There was a star case. Yar! There'll be stars over here to the heavens. There was a staircase, and like the angel, the winged one, ascending to the heavens. Awesome. I don't know what word. I was gonna say something, and then like anyway. Focus. The star climber places a ladder against the night sky. I can do this. There you go. The star climber places a ladder against the night sky and begins his ascent to the heavens. His intention is to reach beyond the mortal limits of gravity. Somebody's ignoring gravity. Okay, all right, all right. Every now and then I'm like, wow, it's like it really all comes together. I'm gonna start from the top and I'm gonna try to focus enough to finish. The star climber places a ladder against the night sky and begins his ascent to the heavens. His intention is to reach beyond the mortal limits of gravity and explore the infinite possibilities of human consciousness. As he ascends, he looks down on everything below and is rewarded with an understanding of his purpose. It comes with full force or not at all, burning through us, searing away our resistance. The duende fires us with a power far beyond our normal capacity for expression, making us an outlet of profound art and music. I love because, again, it was a thing about the force of will. It's not enough to have tremendous will, but it's an expression of that will. And now we have expression of something that goes beyond mortal limits, or it goes beyond our normal capacity for expression. And the star climber going beyond mortal limits of gravity. Girl. Okay, sorry. I'm trying to focus. It comes with full force or not at all, burning through us, searing away our resistance. The duende fires us with a power far beyond our normal capacity for expression, making us an outlet of profound art and music. Both primitive and highly sophisticated, its presence sets alight the core of our potential. It is the passionate specter of the earth, a hobgoblin muse demanding that we open ourselves to all possibilities. With guttural song, summoned from the caves of our souls, it accepts no lies. The duende is nearby, a pregnant and overwhelming power that is life, fate, and the consummation of risk and knowledge. It is not a mere concept, but a very real presence. Made visible, it is huge, potent, patient, and less tolerant than anything the human will can grasp. It is a bittersweet bliss that will infiltrate the bloodstream like a toxin. It is life loved and lived with the greatest of passions. But if that love is lost, the duende leaves us with an inconsolable grief. Now, grief would be that Five of Cups that we saw, the fifth cup to which is being presented to this, returned to this Queen of Cups. But this wasn't grief in the ways that we've seen the Five of Cups be grief. Interesting. Okay. I love when it comes together. I mean, more often than not, it does. It's still surprising, right? Um, Maybe surprising isn't the word. It isn't, but it is, right? Because it's like, oh, whoa. Sometimes, I mean, I feel like honestly, sometimes like we're already 2 hours in. I'm like, and it is this like very broken. I mean, but so is everything. I mean, uh, if you live my life, you would know. But by the end, including all of these like random whatever are things that may feel like a tangent at the time, it always like weaves itself in. It's like, okay, girl, like, all right, right. And I didn't write the book. I didn't read. I ain't pull these cards before I got to the cards. You know what I mean? Well, I could say that, but at the same time, I'm drawn to what I'm drawn to because of like the energy and the vibe that I'm getting. So yes and no and yes, right? Maybe I should call this ignoring gravity. ICC 1694, ignoring gravity. Maybe. Okay. Wait. Gosh. Okay. 6 plus 9 is 15. 1 plus 4 is 5. Right. So I was looking at like it takes 15. Honestly, because I was looking at 15 as a numerological six, meaning we only have to get 50% of what's offered to go from 1 to 4. But 6 plus 9 is technically 15. Three is a fifth of 15 because 3 times 5 is 15, and a fifth is 20%. So in reality, we only need 20% to get from 1 to 4 because numerologic in a numerological simplification, it increases the burden of we have to achieve or what we have to retain to get from 1 to 4. But in reality, we only need 3 out of 15. See, there's something, it's almost like it's something and not overcomplicate. It's not overcomplicating. Um, and 3 out of 15, it's like there are things, maybe it's just like a lesson in the application of discernment in general, because it's not that all of these things aren't true. And it's not that a lot of these things are unimportant. But when it comes to relative importance, some of it is trivial. So we can over intellectualize or over spiritualize something sometimes when we're looking at like these transits and these aspects and this line of belief and like all of these things. But it's like out of the 15 things we could look at and include from cultures across the globe and across time, because we have access to that amount of information and more and less and more. It's like there's an infinite number of ways to look at something, and there are infinite number of approaches that can be taken. And it's almost like there are, it doesn't matter. Out of all 15 of all of this stuff, we only need three. We only need 20%. And see, this is almost like that 15 devil energy, how it's like sometimes it's not devil energy, sometimes it is. You could say, from a certain viewpoint, vantage point, lens perspective, you could say more often than not, it's not devil energy. It's just people being people, the choices that we make, and the consequences and repercussions and outcomes of the choices that we make. But sometimes it is actually like devil energy. But a lot of times we need something to blame. Sometimes we need something to blame. We need for there to be some kind of something to explain what we need to be explained, or to absolve ourselves or others of whatever. And again, it's not to say that devil energy is never present, never involved, but it's almost like if someone's kind of a crappy person, they don't need inspiration from devil energy to continue to be a crappy person, right? The devil energy is looking at some people walking the planet and taking notes. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we didn't know. It's almost like, imagine like devil energy is like, oh, like we didn't know that this would be such an effective torture thing for people. Yeah, let's like incorporate what they're doing to people, to those people over there on the surface. Let's incorporate that in hell. Yeah, let's torture people the way that, because yeah, it's like really effective up there. Like wow, like even our devious minds wouldn't have come up with this. And they're saying they got that from me. No, they're inspiring devil energy type stuff. And it's like, but just as we are divinely inspired and inspire the divine with our love for one another, girl, we run the gamut, we run the spectrum. Anyway, last but not least, I'm looking for a chariot. Now, there was a single horse in the chariot in the deck of heroes, and the chariot in the Wild Unknown Tarot is a single horse. So I could go before and after that, and the mini tarot is like accessible. But I don't want to go for that. Now I almost wish there was a, oh, that's too much though. Oh, gosh. I mean, I guess I'll use the Notoria Tarot. I say it's too much because like they're like angels. I mean, again, like I don't know. I mean, I guess gone are the days. A lot of times it seems like long gone are the days where things over here could be relatively quote unquote simple. And it's like, while part of me enjoys it and like revels in the mystery and intrigue of it all, another part of me is like, why can't it just be like something simple and quick? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be that deep all the time. And it's like not Mr. It is that deep, being like, it ain't gotta be that deep. Yes, Mr. It's always that deep is saying it ain't always gotta be that deep. But maybe it does, right? There's definitely been a throughput for this year. And it really started with the, is it the deck of worlds and the deck of whatever, the world builder thing I got at the top of the year, because I ordered it last year and it arrived before I came back. No, I ordered it when I was in London for, because I had to ship it back. So it, yeah, I ordered it last year. It arrived in London. And then when I went back, I got it. And then I had to ship it back when I came back. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for being here. I hope, oh my gosh, I hope your holiday season has been amazing and will continue to be. I hope 2026 brings you and all your loved ones the best. And yeah. Um, but yeah, I feel like it really sort of kicked off at the top of the year. Um, I'm gonna go for this deck because it may actually be the Fool card. Because I was like, I wish there was a chariot with wings, right? Because the whole thing is ignoring gravity. And then I was like, oh, like there was a card in, I think it's the Fool card. There's a card in the Notoria that's like someone, I'm pretty sure it's the Fool card. Like they took the leap and they have wings. They believed that they had wings before they took the leap, but did they know? Again, either ignorance or a tremendous force of will. And who says it has to be either? Maybe it's both. Maybe it's ignorance and then a tremendous force of will, right? Maybe it was ignorant to take the leap, but when someone was falling, a tremendous force of will manifested the wings that they used to fly. So it's one of those, well, it worked out in the end type of situations, right? Kind of like the parent bird pushing the baby bird out of the nest and trusting that if it's meant to be question mark, their baby will fly. And I'm not a bird psychologist. I don't know why they do it. Anyway, that could be the thing, right? Cool. In this deck, the Fool finds out they can fly, they have wings. So I was like, oh, I'll do the Fool in the Notoria. But then I was like, oh, the Notoria is a deck of angels. And it's already been 2 hours and 12 minutes and 20 seconds. 212 212 21 21222 2123. What was that? 1 2 3 4 5 4 3 2 1 2 3 4 3 2 1 2 3 2 1 2 1. I didn't do show choir, but I knew people who did show choir, and I was like obsessed with that. So 1 2 3 4 5 4 3 2 1 2 3 4 3 2 1 2 3 2 1 2 1. All right. Why not? Let's go for it. Bottom of the deck, we have the Ten of Pentacles. This came out before, not recent. I feel like I was here. So it was at least 2 months ago. There was like the divine right of kings type in. There was like that divine right of kings energy. And it's like there's a difference between those who are crowned by men and those who are chosen. I feel like chosen isn't the word. It is, but it isn't, but it is by the divine. It's like you could say chosen by the divine, but it reads like when someone is chosen by the divine, this is what it reads like in this particular case, situation, circumstance, in this divine right of king's energy that I'm tapping into, picking up on, reading today and that day. It's like recognized. There are individuals recognized by the divine. And so, yes, you could say that they're chosen by the divine, but that they're chosen because they've been recognized, acknowledged by the divine. They are who they are. And because they are who they are and how they are chosen. So it's like it's more recognized by the divine, chosen by the divine, than it is like you're special type. I mean, either way, the person is special. Anyway. Yeah, and I say that because it's like this angel is affixing the halo on this little wingless creature. You have the winged angel affixing a halo, Does that not give the kid in the sun card? And is he not a little ray of sunshine? Are they? Could be a she. The angel is affixing the crown, the halo, on that. That's why it's given the divine right of kings, chosen by the divine, recognized, acknowledged. But again, that was the title card. And the Six of Wands, I couldn't remember what was on the other side of this card at the cut. The other side of this was the Six of Wands, which was someone succeeding the throne, acceding the throne, ascending the throne. This is the legal divine recognition of that succession and ascension. And not the 12-step program that you can subscribe to. I'm sorry. It's not that there's anything wrong with the 12-step, 3-step, 4-step program. I went live today through the studio, and you can like start a new podcast, you can create a new playlist. Now, apparently in YouTube, you can create a new course. So I was like, oh, all of the spiritual girlies can just have their course through YouTube and not have to, they already have a YouTube platform and presence, and maybe, other platforms they would have to figure out. And if YouTube can let them do it, then hey, why not make it easier? You know what I mean? So not in a, again, like when we saw the Hierophant earlier, it's not that it isn't necessary because of our lot in our situation being alive on Earth, but it's not required. Necessary, maybe. Required, by no means. Interesting. But again, so in this deck again, oops. Oh, somebody just came off the top of the deck. Face down. I guess I'll keep you there. And it fell in a way that bridges the duende with that with the Queen of Cups. She's giving like Hercules, but that energy was already there before. She's giving Hercules in the way that like when Hercules like I forget their names, his parents, the ones that raised him. It's like he has to go on his quest to discover who he is, and he's not ungrateful to the folks that raised him. He loves them very much, but this is something that he has to do. But just because that's a journey that he has to make, just because he finds his birth parents along that journey and someone else, and they start a relationship and he forges a relationship with his birth parents, doesn't mean that he has to sacrifice the relationship that he already has with the folks that raised him. And maybe there's fear on one side or another, but Hercules doesn't make the choice that he doesn't have to make. He doesn't have to choose between this set of parents and that set of parents or whatever. I mean, in Disney's Hercules, he did have to choose to forego his divinity to live a life on Earth with Meg. Spoiler alert. I mean, anyway, but it's like in reality, because that was a movie. Hercules isn't real. Disney's Hercules isn't real. It's a movie. In reality, we don't have to make the choice. And that's like what this card sort of symbolizes to me. We don't have to make, like, Hercules didn't have to make the choice to sacrifice his divinity to live a life on Earth with Meg. Like, he could have lived a life on Earth with Meg as fully divine Hercules. And then at the end of her life, either she could ascend to meet him as she was, as she is, or whatever, right? Who knows? That's for the true ending of the story. That goes beyond where the story ends. And I think again that like hidden ending, true ending type energy, it feels like that plays into the whole Duende star climber because it is like human rationalizing. And I say rationalizing because it's like partly human reasoning and it's partly like the human rationale. So it's rationalizing, but with an, I mean, rationalizing is that human rationalizing would have the story end with a certain choice that has to be made. But there's an energy here behind this of the truth of a thing where it's like that choice, that sacrifice doesn't have to be made. It's an and situation, not an or. And that unlocks a different ending, a hidden ending, the true ending, a truer ending. The story continues where before one would have thought that it ended. And how interesting when something that we thought ended continues. Cool. I'm going to keep that card face down. Hopefully, it's not the one I'm looking for. I'm looking for the Chariot, before and after the Chariot. So I'm looking for VII. Oh, so many majors. Oh, there we go. So we have the Four of Swords. No, Kyle. We saw the Four of Swords recently when I was looking in. Oh my gosh, perfect. Perfect. I love when it works out. We saw the Four of Swords in the SKT Revelations edition, the Convalescent, I'm sure. And I went looking for the Destroyer because the Destroyer is the full integration and embodiment of the physical and the spiritual. And it's the spiritual in both its light and dark aspects. So all three have come into one in one being. And with the Four of Swords, it was like there's something that maybe there's something that can't move or something that's a lot harder to move in one. I feel like the cogs are turning and dots are connecting as I'm like talking. Okay. There's something that couldn't move in like the physical, but because that person is of all three natures, they can move it in one of these other directions or in one of these other dimensions. And that was the Four of Swords. Just because it's still on the physical doesn't mean that there isn't work in the energetic or the spiritual, the mental or the spiritual that could be done to move something that is stuck in the physical. And that's what it was doing. So again, there's this 6-9 thing that's happening over here to, oh, that's a 3-6-9. Huh. Interesting. Which was, yeah. And we even saw it was a queen and then a 9, a 6, and a 3. I feel like was it the 9 of Swords? The 6 of, I don't remember. And that's not the point. We did see this Four of Swords recently. And so we see the Four of Swords here again. This Four of Swords is interesting. Here's the Four of Swords, by the way. Because, like, there's the feather that's covering the eyes, there's the closed book, there are all of these hands that are grasping. So it's giving Asmodel, Angel of Taurus? No, not the Angel of Taurus. The Angel of the Mountain. Is it the Angel of the Mountain? Are though their hands? I'll look for it. And the duende is the spirit of creativity. It taps into its divine potential to create the path that doesn't exist. You can take this up or down, meaning as gross, as base, as 3D as you want, and beyond. There are ways I could see how it's like it could be grossly applied, and then the rest is beyond me. The rest is beyond the scope of this channel. Interesting. Okay, then we have the chariot, which is Manakel, number 66. So there's a 21-3, and then a 66-12, which is a 3. This 66-12 is the mirror to this 21, which again, because this is the chariot, again, it sort of reinforces that just because the Four of Swords is a card of like rest, recuperation, rejuvenation, it's the convalescent, it's the healing after. It's the healing that's required, the, what do you call it? Physical rehabilitation. It's rehab, right? Physical rehab. Girl, y'all know what I'm talking about. I forget. But it's like when you, because it is what it is. Because it's a card of rest, you wouldn't think that there's anything happening. But begin again, because, so I combine begin and a cause. Begin and a cause. Again, we saw that Four of Swords where it's like just because something isn't moving in one realm doesn't mean that it's not moving in others. And that came out before the synchronization of the last one came out. Because in the last one, it was like there are analogs between the physical and the spiritual, and something isn't moving in one realm, but it is moving in another realm. And there's a synchronizing event that's going to happen that's going to cause that movement to be mirrored and or reflected in the other realm. And so that's why I love this combination of the chariot with the Four of Swords. Like it's still moving. And that 21 is a mirror of the 66. Cool. On the other side of the chariot is the King of Swords. The King of Swords is the Archangel Commander. This is Vasaraya. And it's number 32. 32 is a 5. And then we have the Lovers under that King of Swords. We saw this Lovers. I think the Lovers was the completion of something, was it not? I don't remember fully. But I think the Lovers was a completion of something. Also, I kept seeing the Lovers in the deck of heroes, but I didn't mention it. This King of Swords is interesting. That is the most interesting part to me of this King of Swords. Thematically on point, on brand. It hasn't not made appearances. It hasn't gone unseen, and definitely hasn't been unnoted. I mean, it quite literally started at the beginning with everything else. Cool. These go over here. The Three of Swords was the card before, which is interesting because of the two broken swords. And it's like you would think that these two swords are like longer than this short sword, And because the swords are longer, you would think that they're more powerful. Now you could say it's the devastating ability of the truth to completely decimate anything and everything that is built upon lies. Um, Three of Swords on one side and the lovers on the other. That's another six and a three. Three of Swords, six, the lovers. Cool. Am I going to read these in the book? Sure, might have. I'm not going to read the significator, which is the chariot, but I will read the other two. And I will do that now. Ooh. This is also interesting. We see the ink and we see the quill in the well here. We also see the quill here and the closed book there. And again, it's like the quill is in the well because when the book is closed, like you can't write in a closed. You don't. There you go. You don't write in a closed book. And again, it was like pencils down type energy. So there's the feather again. The feather that it came out in the beginning, and every single time I saw it in the three shuffles, it was there. But now it is here. It was with the significator on that last and third turn. I didn't see the card, obviously, the first two times I shuffled it. So I don't know where the Ace of Pentacles was sitting. But we see that feather here. Do you see the King of Swords here? There's a saying, the pen is mightier than the sword. I feel like there's more to that saying. I don't know if there is, but I feel like it is. Like how there's more to curiosity killed the cat, right? They say, the full saying is, curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. Let me use this. The pen is mightier than the sword. Maybe that is conspiracy. 1839 play. I'm gonna butcher it. Richie, I'll just say Richie Lou because I'm not even gonna try. I'm not gonna butcher it. Richie Lou or the conspiracy. It's probably like Richelieu. Oh, never mind. Well, yeah. The phrase highlights, yeah, okay, I get that. Look at these images. So first we see the image of the shattered sword, the pin shattering the sword, and then on the left. And then on the right, the sword on the left matches the sword in the Three of Swords, but the pin on the right is like a quill that matches the title card. See, we see the shattered sword on the left, but the ink pen on the right. And we saw these shattered swords in the Three of Swords here. And then there's the quill. So I guess there's not more to that saying, but it feels like it should be. Because I feel like there always is. Oh, this does not go here. Cool. It's interesting again that the King of Swords is here because the King of Swords is where the Archangel Commander sits, and the Archangel Commander can teach us things of the divine, but the Archangel Commander is like purely divine and has no human component. So it realizes that, or there's like an assumption. I would say, girl, I would be making assumptions about the energy based on the energy and my interpretation of the energy. But because we're not purely energy, because we also have a physical component, and because we're dual natured, um, it's like there's an understanding of certain limitations and an understanding of greater potential because of those limitations. Because of those differences, there's an understanding of a greater potential. Cool. I was reading number 66 and 21. God who nurtures all things is Manikel. And 21 is the only God, No Kael. No Kael. Let me pick up the card. Excuse me. Almost 3 hours. No Kael instills a strong desire for learning through which our intelligence is refined. Being more conscious, our mind can project outward. Thus, this angel dominates on occasions when study, literature, poetry, astronomy, or science are needed. However, its influence could lead to an excess of closure and isolation that in the long run could make us suffer from loneliness. Isolation generates prejudice toward what is external to us, arrogance, or rejection of any change that separates us from our habits. It belongs to the thrones, which is interesting. Belongs to the course of the thrones. And there was a whole thing of like ascending the throne, right? Also, this is on top of the duende because it falls in the same position. And the duende was that like hobgoblin genius, that creativity and potential that transcends human limitation. And so here, a strong desire for learning through which our intelligence is refined, it feels relevant, significant, resonant, I guess. All right, now on the other side, Manakal, God who nurtures all things. Manakal, with firmness and rigor, enables us to know what is positive and what is negative, harmonizing and transforming it into a driving force. This angel brings our will to act in the material world, bringing together the best qualities belonging to soul and body in one controlled movement. Girl. Also, again, that chariot energy of two things, but also there was the Aries Gemini thing where it was like what should be two forces that are synchronizing and bringing the best of themselves together for an even greater, like, came out as opposing forces that were stagnating because it's almost like where one energy is weak, the other is strong. And so because they have that dynamic and because they're opposing one another, they stalemate. If they were working together, they would cover each other's weaknesses and go a lot farther. But when they oppose, it's like this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because one is weak where the other is strong. And so where one is strong, the other is weak. But here, not only did we see the single horse and that whole and everything that we saw hours ago at this point. Again, I'm gonna start from the top. Manical with firmness and rigor, which again is like the will of the chariot, the willfulness of the chariot, right? To drive those horses. With firmness and rigor enables us to know what is positive and what is negative, harmonizing and transforming it into a driving force. This angel brings our will to act in the material world, bringing together the best qualities belonging to soul and body in one controlled movement, and lets its energetic action is dragged along by unrefined emotions or thoughts. In this case, it's essential to pull the reins for an immediate break on our flight from reality and find the right direction again. But where we have these undefined emotions and thoughts, here we have a divine inspiration through which our intellect is refined. Again, these things that sometimes, for some reason, for human reasons, stalemate each other. When they work together, it drives things forward. Cool. Love it. Also, there's one more face down. There was something else I said I was going to pull that I already forgot from another deck. I think I said I wasn't going to pull it, but then I was up in mind to pull it. But since I've forgotten, I guess I won't. I feel like it was in the top drawer, but I don't remember what the card is. Oh, who is this? The Four of Pentacles with these three rings. Quoniam tuas patientia mea domine. And it continues. Or do all the rings say the same thing? Oh, there's actually more than there's four. And it's the Four of Pentacles, so that makes sense. This is the card that came out face down, bridging the Duende and the Queen of Cups. Hopefully, like, as I'm holding these up, it's like, whoa. This had to buffer at some point. Because I'm watching this and this is way behind. And it's kind of blurry. Hey. Number 30. So another 3. 21 plus 9 is 30. It is not an archetype. How far behind is this? That's crazy. And now I'm blurry. Okay, number 30. 30. Omael, the patient god. The god who waits and waits and waits and whose patience knows no bounds. Because what is a millennia in all of eternity? And that's just one millennium. What is a millennium in eternity? What is a millennia of millennia in all of eternity? Girl, where am I at? Okay, I'm holding up the card again. I feel like that was minutes ago. I feel like that was 5 minutes ago. And now I'm getting to the point where I'm like, how far back am I? Did I like disconnect at some point or something? Anyway, Omael, the patient god. Omael enables us with his energy to harvest the fruits of our labor, exponentially multiplying all those seeds consisting of ideas, desires, and feelings that we have patiently sown in ourselves after careful evaluation of the fertility of our inner soil. I'm going to read that again because there were commas and I took no breaks. Omael enables us with his energy to harvest the fruits of our labor, exponentially multiplying all of those seeds consisting of ideas, desires, and feelings that we have patiently sown in ourselves after careful evaluation of the fertility of our inner soil. This fruitful expansion contributes to humanity and the universe itself that once materialized must be controlled to avoid the risk of being suffocated by it, with no possibility of further progression or reproduction. Girl, she just kind of loused me. Almael enables us with his energy to harvest the fruits of our labor, exponentially multiplying all those seeds that we have patiently sown in ourselves after careful evaluation of the fertility of our inner soil. Who does that evaluation? Are those seeds that we've. It's also interesting that these are seeds that we've planted in ourselves, not seeds that we've planted in the world. Interesting point number one. Question number one: who did this evaluation? Does Omayo bless us with his energy after he evaluates the fertility of our inner soil? Or are these the seeds that we've sown in ourselves after we have evaluated the fertility of our inner soil? Does it matter? I don't know. It's just a question. This fruitful expansion contributes to humanity and the universe itself that, once materialized, must be controlled to avoid the risk of being suffocated by it. So the control happens after the materialization so that basically it can continue to propagate and, it doesn't end where it began. This is in the chorus of dominations and it's associated with Venus and Leo. Sun and Cancer was one of these other ones. Oh, they're on the card. Sun and Cancer was the Four of Swords, and the Moon in Virgo is the King of Swords. Interesting. So, because I'm looking at these two angels, between the Four of Swords and the Four of Pentacles, there are similarities between them. This is the one, the inner soil, planting seeds in the inner soil, blind to the external. This is the fruition of those seeds and the insurance of their continued thriving. Cool. All right. I think that's it. I feel like there was something else I was going to pull. I don't remember. Excuse me. It's been like 2 hours, 48 minutes, and 56 seconds. I think that's enough. We saw the seeker, the initiate, the seeker, and then I think I went looking for the keeper because we already saw the initiate and the seeker in the SKT. That day, we saw the Four of Swords and the Ten of Swords. I went looking for the destroyer. Did we not see the destroyer archetype? We saw the destroyer archetype. And I think we saw the cave and the destroyer. And it was like, and the destroyer was closer. in the cave, it was like still shrouded in mystery anyway. I tangented myself too far. There was something else we saw in the SKT when I went looking for the destroyer, and it just came to my mind and then it slipped. I don't remember what it was. Interesting. Cool. Let's have Siri flip a coin. If it's heads, we'll end it here. Hey Siri, flip a coin, please. Are you thinking?
Something went wrong. Please try again.
Hey Siri, can you flip a coin for me, please? Oh, Siri said tails. I wish you would have spoke it. Heads was to end it, tells us to keep going. What was that other card? There was something else that came to my mind. Sorry. A force of will, a tremendous force of will. So it's an expression of that. With the angels here, the thing about this four of coins is that it is one of amplification, right? The other two were, you could say, the coercion of intrigue or interest or desire, with the four of swords. And then with the king of swords, that was manifesting something internal on the external. So again, this four of pentacles told us that these were seeds planted on internal soil, where this mentioned the materialization of will. If we needed the extra reminder that this is internally seated. Oh, it was the 6-4, not the 1694. That's what I was talking about when the SKT came to mind. And it's like we only need 3 out of 15, the 20%. I mean, the numbers said keep going, but you know what? I'm gonna go grab some water, and if it comes back to my recollection, we'll go for it. If not, then I guess I'll end this here. So, BRB. Be right back. I feel like I'll come back before I've even left. You hear all those cans? Yes, I got it. Uh-oh. If y'all trying to watch that set, I better hurry it. I don't remember. Wow. I was right. I made it back before I even got up. How far? What is the delay? Well, I'm not sure when it buffered, how long it was buffering, what's here, what got lost, if anything got lost. But I am back. Back before I left. Oh, look, now I look over and now it's on the Be Right Back. So yeah. For me, if I could cut this out, you wouldn't miss anything. I did not recall whatever came to mind. I could look in the first drawer. Oh, it was the Angel of the Mountain. That's who it was. How interesting. I needed to have looked for you. Oh, is this open? No, it's not. Okay. Oh, here it is. Cool. I needed to look for this deck. Right now, I am looking for Turiel. That's who it is. It is not Asmodel, Angel of Taurus. It is Turiel, Angel of the Mountain. And I'm looking for it because of this Four of Swords, because of all of these hands reaching. Cool. I did remember. I'm proud of me. I was like, it's in that first drawer. I know it's in the first drawer. Just like with the vice versa. I was like, I can see the card in my mind's eye. And I was like, oh, it's like a blue background. The cards don't have backgrounds, but the box is blue. I guess I was seeing the motif of the box because in the vice versa, the cards are double-sided. And if I would have remembered it was a double-sided card, I would be like, oh yeah, vice versa, because that's the only deck I have where the cards are double-sided. But the color of the box and the pattern on the box was well enough. Anyway, I'm going to give it a shuffle and another shuffle and another shuffle and a cut. I saw Pinamue twice in the first two shuffles. I saw the pin. Actually, I don't remember which one. Pinamue was the angel that made men like the gods in their death. Before, Pinamue was like, who are you? After the sundering or whatever you want to call it. After the lowering of the veil. When Pinamue was like, I used to only see the divinity in humanity, but they have showed me that they are indeed dual-natured. Because that, girl, and there was like, yeah, put the veil down, put the veil down. When they were young, they were more like us. Now they grow into their maturity, girl. They're in their rebellious phase and they need some time to figure themselves out and mature and take care of all that. And then like Asbiel, Angel of Ruin, they waited and waited and waited, and we're still figuring it out to this day. Anyway, Renth, Angel of Time, Remiel, Angel of Visions, and Muriel, Angel of Cancer are the bottom three. The flame that cracks its skin is the same as the fire from within. An alabaster form folded like the steel of a sword, always pressing onward, the sharp beat of its heels grinding the past into dust. The flame that cracks its skin is the same as the fire from within. Excuse me, not surprised to see this when we read this new king of coins that is operating in the truth of the divinity that lies within him, that has awakened, I guess, to his divinity. The same forces that we see in the Star Climber and the Duende. that have always been within him. So yeah, not surprised to see that. Remiel, angel of visions, footsteps fall upon boundless hills, stretching one by one across the landscape, our journey. See not the darkened slopes that present themselves today. There is light upon the farther side guiding us onward. That guiding us onward, and that light upon the farther sky. Ooh, and he fell on the table. It gives the same energy of the progress that um, that control gives, so that we're not suffocated by the thing. And I think because control is a bit of a strong word when it comes to that energy, but low hanging fruit. Let's say that we are inspired, divinely inspired, to do something great and amazing. And it is great and amazing. And our whole lives change. And it's like you could say that us being suffocated by that thing would be us giving ourselves over to the material aspect of the thing. So now we become obsessed with like money and status and all of these other things. Whereas in the beginning, when it was the execution behind that divine inspiration, it was more about how whatever the mission or the goal was, right? Before all of the fame and recognition and money and whatever else came into the picture. When we get suffocated, we get blinded by the material to the point where we lose sight of our goal and focus, and the thing kind of, you could say it dies, but it's almost like it's swallowed by the world and robbed of its substance. And then its progress halts, right? So the control is just to keep things moving. Muriel, angel of Cancer. The face we show on the outside and who we are inside is always different. That shell we build over our hearts exists to guard us against the barbs of the world. As we grow, that shell hardens, but the need to let others past it becomes equally as valuable. The essence of this sign is not only a shield that holds harm at bay, but it is also the warmth that brings light and healing into our lives. Muriel is the protector of our deepest truths and the caregiver of our innermost selves. Excuse me. It feels like this. The sentiment of that goes directly against this King of Coins energy. And that King of Swords energy. The King of Coins, who is the one that ascends the throne. The King of Swords, which was the one that helps us in aligning the material and the physical. Again, Remiel, the flame that cracks the skin is the same as the fire from within. All of these in one body, right? Both the soul and the body, the flesh and the spirit together, living harmoniously. But this, Muriel says they're always different. And I'm like, cool. I'm not going to get any further into it right now. Let's look for Turiel. Specifically, because I think there may be multiple Turiels, I can't remember. Specifically, the one that mentions the greedy hands that fall like an avalanche. Oop. Oh, there's Phanuel, Angel of Truth, who sits at the throne. There is Asmodel, Angel of Taurus. Okay, I did remember. Oh, I kept saying Asmodel, and I'm like, am I remembering that correctly? Turiel, Angel of the Mountain. Okay, there are two Turiels because this is they're together. The first one I saw was not the one I was looking for, but they're together. Nice. That one is with Malahidayo or Malahidayo, Angel of Aries. The other one is Barkiel, Angel of Pisces. These two mountains, or the two faces of the mountain, the two faces of the angel of the mountain of Turiel, lies between Aries and Pisces, which is perfect because Pisces is the end, Aries is the beginning. Again, it's that like in between energy, between life and death. Birth, between birth and death. Let's start with the first one then. The moment before we act, there must be an impulse to begin. Sometimes this force comes from our own will, and sometimes it seems to arise from nothing. From the abyss, Malahidayal emerges, bringing with it the strength to enact change. We are close to this angel whenever we take action. It is the power to be present in the moment and the wisdom to prepare for the future. There is always danger in its presence, but more hardship without it. And then Barakiel, Angel of Pisces, when harm comes to the people, the relationships, and the things in our lives, we have to take time to help repair them. It's not easy, but bringing these pieces, those pieces, back together is what we have to be to live a good life. In those moments, we are close to Barkiel, sorry. Deep down, everyone has a nurturing aspect. Choosing to cultivate it helps bring us closer to our truer selves. So one of them ends with there being danger in the presence of this action or the call to action. The other one begins with the harm that comes to people, relationships, and the things in our lives. So to be close to uh, Malahi Dial or Malahidial is to take action with the power to take action with the power to be present in the moment and wisdom to prepare for the future. To be close to Barkiel, Angel of Pisces, is bringing the pieces together after the harm to the people, relationships, and things in our lives have broken them apart. So, one in action, the other in repair. Maybe it's just between Aries and Pisces, more so between Aries and Pisces. Turiel, here I remain under a mountain made of many hands, all reaching and all taking. I press my body closer to that which I must keep. It is mine, and I will shield it from the misery of other hands. I can feel their gaze fall on it like an avalanche. Their greed feeds my convictions, so here I remain. And like all of these hands reaching up was giving me that energy. Knowing, like, I feel like you could read that in a very Four of Pentacles. Here's the Four of Pentacles. In a very Four of Pentacles type way, where it's like Turiel is being like greedy, but it's like the misery of other hands. It's like, again, it's like how sometimes the world, meaning people, Or what can happen when those fruits aren't properly protected, when it's like consumed by the world and robbed of all of its substance. It's like that's the harm that would be done, right? Let's say that there was something of great benefit, of great potential to benefit humanity, but it was used in a quote unquote inappropriate way. So now the truth that what was of our greatest potential benefit, it's like the truth that what is of our greatest potential benefit also has the ability to cause the greatest harm is made plain, because it's like it's both made plain. I'm trying to say it right. The truth that the thing can be used, like the truth of its potential to cause the greatest harm has been made plain, but that truth obscures the truth that it also could be of our greatest benefit. And it's because it was used in the way that it was used that that truth outshines the other, right? And so it was like the gift, the thing that Turiel keeps. I can, what was it? I will shield it from the misery of other hands. Like other hands turned that gift into a weapon. And that is its misery. It's misery that now it's only seen as a force of destruction, of great and terrible destruction, rather than all of the positive. It's like all of the problems that could theoretically be solved, all of the ways in which our lives would be better, we will never know. Or we, for however long a period of time, won't know because of our first encounter with it. And a lot of times, sometimes, what has the greatest potential for destruction or evil has an equal potential for good and for creation. And so that actually gives this a much more interesting take. Because at first I was like, well, the afterlife, the void, spirit, the realm of spirit exists between death and birth. But now it's almost this more plain, like it has the potential to be of great benefit and repair, or to be of great destruction. And again, it's almost like that's why there is choosing. That's why the like with the divine right of king. That it's almost like that's why there is a divine right of kings type energy, because of again the whole dropping of the veil. Everything that inspired the dropping of the veil, all of the reasons why what is divine can sometimes be so far away, again, refer back to the atrocities that are committed, have been committed throughout history, and are still committed to this day because of religion. When so many of them teach love, especially for those less fortunate or other, but somehow, and maybe that's part of the like getting caught up on like trivial things. And it's like, in all of the beauty, in all of what should drive us to be more loving of one another, we get caught up in other things, and what should be of our greatest benefit becomes, can become, has been our greatest divider, has been the most divisive, and what gets us to sometimes commit the most harm and to be the most justified, feel the most justified as we do it. And it's interesting because I was thinking yesterday, every now and then, I think about how, I guess, my North Node is in Sagittarius. Remember when I used to say that like all the time? My North Node is in Sagittarius. Just thinking about how, like, pick an ism, right? How there are so many beliefs that one person or people are superior to another person or people, and all that those beliefs, like all of the treatment that those beliefs can justify. And then I think of, like, even in spirituality, quote unquote, with this ascension into the 5D and 3D, it's like that same separation and that same air of superiority applies. Right now, you got people that are supposed to be of, like, these beings of like love and light sent to elevate humanity, calling, treating, thinking of, considering what I assume would be the very ones that they're sent here to save and protect and whatever, calling them like bots in the Matrix. And I mean, talk about like dehumanizing, that's pretty plain. They're not people, they're bots. They're not real. you know? Like, it's like, and maybe it's just, I don't, it's like the irony. Every now and then, more often than not, the irony isn't lost on me. That, like, that's literally dehumanizing people in the most plain way. Just literally say they're not bots, they don't have souls, they're not real people, or they're not real people, they're NPCs, they're bots, they don't have souls, they're not, like, they're these shadow people. And it's like, I don't know. It's like, can you get any more? And again, it's like it doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. But, and I don't know, it's like, I guess from a certain vantage point, viewpoint, and perspective, I get it, because there are a lot of people who resonate, that feel like black sheep, and who have felt, I mean, who hasn't felt like the world has turned its back on them at some point in their life or another. Like, I feel like even the people who are well liked or popular or who seem like they have it all have probably felt the same, and may feel just as trapped in all of the, I mean, you could say it's better to be in that kind of prison. And I wouldn't say that you're wrong, but the fact that it's still a prison, can still be a prison. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's just interesting that sometimes someone who may consider themselves, call themselves, claim to be spiritual, will see the dangers of religion, and to see how using religion to dehumanize others has led to so many of the atrocities that have happened in our history, but who take literally the same approach to other people. And maybe I just like don't get it, and like they are right, even though it like looks the same. As like, oh, like you literally don't even consider those people to be human. You use your freedom from doctrine and your freedom from dogma to consider and treat people the same way. They're bots, they're NPCs, they're not real, they don't have souls. And it's like, girl, people have been saying this for so long, for so many different but apparently similar reasons. I don't know. Anyway. And maybe that's this going back to like this hierophant energy. That's it's like that's why the divine again, it's like that's the energy of like that's why the divine right of kings is like necessary. Because imagine and like I guess that's the thing to me too. It's like people, man, humans. I don't know. It's the every now and then I am a Pisces, you know. I am a Saturn Pisces. I may have other placements in my chart that obscure my Pisces sun sometimes. Other things eclipse it. But more often than not, it's motivated by the fact that, like, I am a Pisces. And it's like, wow, like sometimes people like really don't care. And it's so wild to me. Again, it's like I watched the show Ragnarok. I only watched like the first season. I think another season came out. I haven't watched it yet. I didn't have Netflix when it came out. When I got Netflix, I forgot about it. Still haven't watched it. Maybe I should but like watching the show, it's like it's crazy to me because it's like, girl, y'all have the knowledge of Ragnarok to know how some of this plays out. And y'all are just like doing it again anyway. And it's like there are certain things that like we can see happening again that we've been seeing happening again. And it's like we've literally been here. Not only have we been here, but some of this stuff that we are seeing, the general attitude before was like never again. But apparently there was the caveat of unless I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I was just thinking about that like last night about how like wild it is to me. And I'm like, am I crazy? Not crazy. Like, am I dumb? Or do like I just not get it? Am I an NPC? Am I a bot? Because in my mind, it's just like, I don't know. I can't imagine really believing, truly believing that like reality isn't real. This is just a game. It's just the Matrix. And I am an incredibly divine being that can manifest anything and everything and just relegate, I guess, so many people to whatever, but also at the same time claim to be and believe myself to be sent here to like help. I don't know. It's just like the neurons in my brain aren't connecting in some ways. And in other ways, I'm like, literally looks like a reskin of so many different attitudes and beliefs that are like actively condemned, but we can't see that we're literally doing the same, apparently. But again, like if we could see that we were literally doing the same, then maybe so much of so many things wouldn't repeat through history as often as they do. You know what I mean? So apparently it's not that obvious. Because if it was, we wouldn't be here again and again and again and again and again. And maybe that's the spiral. Maybe that's the spiral that we're trapped in humanity. That's the spiral that we accept. But this energy on the table goes beyond those limitations. And it's like, girl, that's not the truth. Just because something has been a truth because of who has been operating and driving and moving the story forward doesn't mean that it's like the truth. It's a truth, not the truth. If you eat the same thing every day, yeah, it's true that you're going to eat it tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. But like you could eat something else. Like, you know, I feel like that's not a good metaphor. But anyway. Anyway, it's fine. I mean, it is what it is. Maybe I should say that instead of it's fine, because it's really not. It is as it has been, and it will be as it will be. And if we choose, it could be something different. So here's to hoping that we choose differently in the ways that we want to see things change. Cool. Yeah. 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 There's a great potential for creation and an equal potential for destruction that lies behind the full force of divinity, that lies within a fraction of the force that is built into us. And again, some of the worst of us is us, just like some of the best of us is also us. So cool. Let's get final cards. This is a lot of final cards to get, and I will timestamp the final cards. And hopefully, I'm not here for another 2 hours looking at final cards. 32630. Whoa! Oh, I was about to say it didn't save. Final cards. Pulling. Not reading. LOL. They all end in LOL. 32640. Cool. Yeah. I don't know. Every now and then, if I think about stuff, like my heart breaks. But then if I think about it a little longer, I'm like, well, if this breaks my heart, then my heart will just continue to be broken. Apparently, because even when we figure it out, we just like we still don't get it. Again, and I could be wrong, right? But my thing is like, because I've played the whole I could be wrong game, and in my mind, it's like even if I am wrong, I don't see the harm in still wanting to extend compassion, right? Like if this is a game and like none of it is real, like I wouldn't see the harm. Like I'm the type of gamer that like I struggle to have an evil playthrough. There are some ways where it's like easy to be evil in a playthrough of a game, but like when it really comes down to it, like I'll struggle. I'm like, I can't. Like I know it's a game and I know this is supposed to be my evil playthrough so that I can see like what else is in this game, but I can't do it. Like I still can't do it. And so I'd be like, even if this was a game, like I still wouldn't find like I would still make the same choices. And so what the knowledge that this is all a game or the belief that this is all a game doesn't inspire like, hey, maybe I should still be kind. Because even though, the NPCs aren't real, even though their suffering is only digital, it's still their suffering. And they are digital entities that are coded into this digital experience that I am. Maybe that's, I mean, we see Grand Theft Auto, right? Cards Against Humanity. When it's a game, or even when it's real, it's so easy to throw compassion out the window, apparently. I don't know. I don't like Cards Against Humanity. I'm that type of person. Like, I don't enjoy it. You know what I mean? I kind of suffer through it, and it's hard for me. If I'm being really honest, it can be difficult for me to like separate the whole like this is a game where the point is to be as like terrible and ridiculous as you can, because when we're not playing the game we're so like thoughtful and civilized and considerate of one another or whatever. But again, to me, like I just don't get it. I don't have fun. That's not fun to me. Yeah, I think it's a me thing. Maybe it's just a me thing and I'm wrong, but yeah, it's not fun to me. Like, I don't know. And again, it can be challenging for me sometimes to remember that, like, oh, this person doesn't actually think this. It's just a joke. It's meant to be funny, or it's a game. They're just playing whatever card is going to elicit the reaction that gets them the points. It's not what they really think. But yes, a lot of times I'm like, well, it's still not funny. Like, I get it's a joke, or I get it's not serious, but it's, sometimes maybe, more often than not, no. And so yeah, I've only played it like twice. Whenever someone's like, "Oh, like, do y'all want to play Cards Against Humanity?" I'm like, "No, I'll pass." And I'd rather not be present when you play it either. If you would like for my, and again, maybe I'm obviously not the target audience, and maybe I'm too much of a wuss to, maybe I'm too serious or too uptight or whatever. I'm too boring or too not fun to understand the complex nature of, it's a joke. It's not real life. It's just the game. But I don't know. Am I going to put these all up right? I will attempt. I will make an attempt to put these up right. The problem with some of these is I don't know if I'll immediately be able to tell if it's upright or in reverse. Some of these are pretty obvious. A lot of these are pretty obvious. Some of them are not. So yeah. I don't know, because I think, like, I've had friends who've been like, "Oh, let's play Cards Against Humanity," and I'm like, "I'd rather not." I've only played the game, in all honesty, like twice, and I didn't enjoy it the first time. I knew I wouldn't enjoy it the second time. The only card I've ever won, I feel like, when I've played Cards Against Humanity, I won because I played the word like toaster. So if that, I feel like that's all you need to know about me when it comes to games like that. And I forget what the situation was, but yeah, I played like the card toaster, and that's the only card I've ever won when it comes to Cards Against Humanity. Again, like, even though it's a game, I don't have it in me because I don't find it funny. I don't find it funny. I don't find it fun. Again, I'm just like, I'm not the target audience, and I realize that, which is why I don't put myself in a situation where that's what I play. So anyway, I don't like stop anybody else from playing, but I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna play. If y'all want to play, that's like cool with me. But yeah, no. And maybe if like things were different, I feel like if things were different, it would be a lot easier to enjoy stuff like that. If things were different, like certain jokes would be a lot funnier. But when you can see that for some, it's like the trivialization of certain things by making it a joke inspires a lot of like cruelty, or leads to a lack of like genuine empathy or consideration and compassion, then it's like, if things were different, it would be different, but they're not. And it's like, it's because of certain things are a joke. That's what makes it so hard, it seems like, for us to like truly connect and care for one another, rather than just being like, oh, like, that's the way the world is, or this is what's happening to them over there. Anyway, it's just the game, I tell myself as I sit there and I remember the people that I thought I knew before the game began. Again, and the only time I played with strangers. So I'm grateful for that, because, yeah, I'm very grateful that that's the setting that I experienced my dislike or lack of interest. Dislike for personal. Like, if other people, again, like, if that's what y'all want to do, I don't care. I just don't. Anyway, all right. Final cards. Final archetype. Oh, I was gonna say one would be lovely. I got one. Oh, the Arbiter. Interesting. She was one of the ones that was upside down. I took note of her because she was upside down. I guess if she was right side up, she wouldn't have stuck out to me as much as she did. It really seemed like another card came out, but I don't think one fell. That is. I've never seen Mobius. It's interesting that death is here. And that this is probably the most interesting Ouroboros energy I've ever seen. You can tell that it hasn't bitten its own tail. It looks like its tongue is curled around the tail, but it's like, I'm gonna swallow my finger type energy, like crawl. You just moved it. Like when there's depth perception, you could tell that like it didn't, like, you see my hand. So this is something that's a matter of perception. Well, you could say justice is a matter of perception. Or the carrying out. Oh, look, the Arbiter. I'll read the persona. The Arbiter, or the attribute. The Arbiter is even handed. When we accept her help, we accept the concept of fairness and good sense. She is the opposite of impulsive, and her weighing of any situation makes us better able to decide between short and long term gain. In trusting her measured approach, we find it easier to separate our wants from our needs and our cravings from our necessities. I don't need sugar. I just crave sugar, especially while I'm in a place where the sugar is so processed it's addictive. I guess. Because I can eat a lot of sugar in other places and still lose weight. You know what I mean? Eventually it'll probably get to the point where I stop. But, or just like I can eat a bunch of sugar one day and not crave it the next day. You know what I mean? But something about that good old US sugar just keeps me coming back for more. Girl, apparently I get back and I act like I ain't got no sense. Maybe I shouldn't even get one then. Part of me is kind of like, oh, I want to try some of the things I've been missing. And then another part of me is like, but why? But why though? Right. Anyway. Anyway. The last Archaea was the Arbiter. I like how it said good sense. Just because something makes sense doesn't mean it's good sense, right? Like when it comes to jokes and stuff like that, right? There's a it's like if you need $50 with a million, than it is to get 50 from the person with two. Okay, it says I'm back. Oh, it buffered temporarily. Maybe that's how I ended up like behind where I am. All right, from the deck of heroes, the final card, please, is. Oh, well, that was a dirty flip. It flipped over, but then it flipped right back over. And so all I see, oh, okay. All I see is card back. How interesting. We see this card again. Bottom of the deck is the Nine of Swords. Oh, girl. Is this individual wearing pants? And the magician is behind the Nine of Swords. Here's the Nine of Swords. Is that just butt? Maybe he is wearing pants. I don't know. Oh, maybe not. Yeah. Those look like, I don't know. I feel like I'm seeing some. I see crack for sure. Anyway. No, that's his back. Okay. Yeah, he is wearing pants. better. What I love about this Nine of Swords is like we see the moon so clearly. And also the swords are like sticking out from behind that curtain rather than it being like, but because it's almost like there's this extra implication of it's not a fear of the unknown, it's how the unknown can cause our minds, how our interaction with the unknown can cause us to spiral or to go like it's this imagined dangers. Excuse me. Because even if these swords are behind the curtain, they're not positioned in a way that would cause anyone harm, right? They're like sticking out to the side and not pointed at the individual. There you go. The cards that came out first, it's this Five of Swords again. Five of Swords and the Knight of Swords. Is this the same character as the Magician? Does he not? Maybe it's the hair. And he's like looking the same way too. It's like that's the Magician. This is interesting. You see the ring, his chest? There you go. That golden ring. It reminds me of the ones we saw in the Four of Swords. No, the Four of Pentacles on that angel. We saw the Five of Swords with the Page of Swords before. And it was like there's something that no, we saw the Page of Swords with the Five of Wands, and we did see the Five of Swords too. The vibe was the Page of Swords has a sword. They have wands. If the Page of Swords shows up with its sword to the wand fight, it's gonna be a bloodbath because it's gonna be cutting rather than like bruising. And then the Five of Swords came out, and it was a question of does something require um, such a definitive approach? And we just saw the arbiter, so maybe, but it's with an application of good sense, right? So it's like you could say that in most cases, the Five of Swords energy is extreme, but not always. Sometimes overwhelming force is necessary, especially like it's easiest to see overwhelming force as necessary when it comes to like harm that could befall someone, right? A whole bunch of harm is going to befall someone, and someone needs to be shown that these individuals are protected, or this person is protected, or enough force has to be displayed to discourage further whatever, right? Because it's like if it were just a greater force, it would invite retaliation. A show of absolute force for them to walk away like this, like they know that's not to be done again. That's just like a low hanging fruit of when good sense would say that it is necessary, or where the benefit of absolute force could be seen as necessary. And then we have the Knight of Swords. It's interesting that this time we see it with the Knight of Swords, where before it was with the Page of Swords. And maybe the Knight, maybe the Page is more naive. And so you could say it's like because the Page is so young or naive, even if one could see it as necessary, even if one could see the benefit, it's like, well, there had to be a better way, or there had to be another way, because it's just the page, right? Obviously, if it were someone more experienced, then they would have found a different way. Absolute force. Like, was that necessary? And the knight isn't a king or a queen, but is more experienced than the page. So that leaves me in a gray area, which enforces the need for discernment. Above a need for discernment included with like other things, I would say, like, anyway, a need for discernment among other things. And also, if it were the king or the queen of swords, there would also be, because they do carry a coldness, there would be an implication of like a lack of any emotion behind it. Like it was necessary and so it was done. The page gives more like ignorance or naivety. The knight is more experienced than than the page, but not as cold and detached as the king and queen. So maybe it operates that balance, or it does what it needs to do with the understanding of the weight of its actions. So the emotional weight doesn't stop it from doing what it needs to do, but it's not so cold or detached that it's separated. And so it falls in this sweet spot of like the perfect amount of overwhelming force. Because it could be really easy to do, because like to not do enough and invite retaliation, or to like a fear response. It's like there's the retaliation from a damaged pride, there's the retaliation from overwhelming fear, and then there's like the sweet spot of, apparently, the sweet spot of like the force was overwhelming enough that I know I can't win, but it wasn't so much that I'm like, I fear for this force existing on a planet. It would completely dominate us all. Type of, we must band together against this supreme force, right? It's this sweet spot because we don't necessarily want to be cold and detached, but also we don't want to be so emotional that we get immobilized and we don't do what's necessary, apparently. And judgment is on the other side. Judgment was the third card. So I saw Judgment, which we've already seen, and the Five of Cups, which we've already seen. The Knight of Swords is a new addition. The Knight of Swords is on a moving horse, and I'm assuming is holding the sword. Yeah, that horse is like flying. It's moving. The horse that we saw before wasn't moving. So we didn't necessarily see that action piece. This is almost giving the peace that someone has to make with the divine. It's almost giving like there are a whole bunch of people that it's almost like in a world where some would exercise overwhelming force in a way to benefit themselves for greed or other things. Pick one of the seven and feel no qualms about it. Again, it's because this person still feels it's almost like they have to go to the divine for that like reassurance, for that like this is that conversation of like, I know that something had to be done, but I still don't feel right about it. It's like, I know that something had to be done, but I wish, first of all, I wish it didn't have to be done. Second of all, I wish I didn't have to be the one to do it, type energy. And they get like consoled by the divine. Right. Because the understanding that something had to be done doesn't always um, win out over reluctance at having to do it. some people love it, right? There's no. The thing about the divine right of kings is that it is appropriate to each individual, right? For the things that are to be corrected and situations where things are like truly heinous, then maybe you want the king or the queen of swords. Because, and again, like because you could say there's a difference between a willful and intentional cruelty versus a cruelty that is born out of like self-preservation or fear or whatever. Both of them ultimately may need a similar approach, but on one hand there's a little bit more compassion, on the other hand there doesn't necessarily need to be, right? Oh, okay. Final card. It's been 4 hours. I was trying to go to the bank today. They're probably closed. It's fine. Again, surprise, surprise, surprise. Ooh, that's a lot. Leliel, Angel of Night, and Advakiel, Angel of Sagittarius. So we've seen Cancer, Aries, Pisces, and now Sagittarius. We've seen Cardinal, Fire and Water, and Mutable, Fire and Water. Interesting. Leliel, Angel of Night. A fleeting spirit who dances across the sky. Leliel is beautiful but aloof. The night passes whether we are lost, staring out over the darkened sky. It shows a thousand things left unseen. What you are witnessing is only ever a small glimmer of what is truly there. So, in that conversation between the Knight of Swords and Judgment, if someone is divinely led to do something or to enact their divinity in some way, that completely overrides the physical. And the divine has greater sight than we do, right? So maybe the Knight of Swords is like, because again, the Knight of Swords isn't the king or queen. It's more experience in the page, but again, it's not whatever. And maybe the divine is like if that would not have been done, then this would have happened, and then this would have happened, and then this would have happened, and it would have gotten worse and worse and worse. So, yes, your action was necessary. Yes, that amount of force was necessary because if there was any less, then it would have snowballed into this and this and that. And it feels like my initial gut response, I guess, was like there's a limited amount of comfort that can be given to those who do what is uncomfortable, even when they're in the right. But it's almost like the thousand things left unseen. It's almost like there is comfort in that. There's comfort in knowing, there can be comfort for some in knowing what protections or like what the execution of that force prevents and what all something or someone is protected from because of it. Advakiel, when the world we live in feels too constrained, our eyes lift to the horizon. The endlessness of the world calls for us to depart from our lives and become a part of the unknown. In this space beyond the veil of the familiar, adventure awaits. A part of us never stopped existing in the wilderness. Advakiel guides us to rejoin the union, to seek for the sake of seeking, to live for the sake of living. It actually says life.